Good morning, all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going back to Texas. I can already say that LNC haven't started their stream. They are 30 minutes late. Yesterday, the court went for almost 5 hours before they picked up a stream again. So today again, we'll do like yesterday. We'll have some fun. And to have fun, you need a Mo. Hello, Mo.
Hello.
And everyone know Mo, but Griff a bit.
Hi, guys. I'm Mo from Mo in the Deep End. I am a mom of 6 who just kind of fell into the internet and YouTubing, so I am learning as we go. I do crime, courts, current events, chaos, shenanigans. It's all there. I have Church Lady who will be coming out now because this whole stuff about the Gannon thing, I am hot fire mad. Like, look, I am a redneck, y'all, but that's trash.
I've only just seen it in chat that some people show autopsy pictures behind a paywall. I know we can't ride the high horse because we're covering murder trials as well, but that's just below me. And as I've told Jamie, I hope she'll turn up too. I'm not sure. But if the 12-year-old takes the stand, I'll be taking a break because I don't want to show even the testimony of a 12-year-old. That's the only purpose is to wreak even more emotional damage on the 12-year-old and just to hurt a man who's already more than halfway into the chair. I won't be doing that. So if you don't, if you want to see it, there's probably some other channels who would cover it. But if he takes the stand, I'll take a break, and I hope everyone's okay with that. But because even though I don't seem like it, I do have some kind of morals. So just to start out on a sour note, I don't like people making money off dead babies. But back to the good part. Murph Turf, I put on a flowery shirt for you again today because you sent me the cliff notes for what happened yesterday. We will be going through them shortly just to see what happened after the 5 hours they didn't do anything. We have Thierry here. We have Iris, of course. We have Feral Housewife. How did she get up this early? Reindeer. Oh, I don't see Søren here. He sent me another video. I think I'm not sure why I'm becoming a promoter of Søren, but he sent me another video. He wants me to play for you. Yesterday it was for the ladies. Today he said he trying to branch out and get more of the men to follow his new channel. But we'll just have to see. As always, I haven't seen it, and Søren is kind of a weird guy, but we'll see it if he shows up today. We can look at it. Oh, Wendy H is here. Hey, Dave.
Hello. And I saw your video about explaining what a Denny motion is because, I did the Google thing, but you need a real lawyer, a real lawful law lawyer to explain that.
And talking about lawful law, yesterday a case started with a guy who's representing himself, but I didn't find a live feed until this morning, so it could have been interesting. But if it's an interesting case, I might take it up. The rumor is that the state will rest today. The defense, I can't see them having much of a defense, but they have been doing okay yesterday. So maybe if the other case is interesting, it's about a man who did some not so nice things to a 71-year-old lady. He ended one of his hearings calling the judge a word you shouldn't call a judge. You shouldn't even call me words like that. But it could maybe be interesting. Not a Daryl Brooks type, but still he's representing himself, and we always know this could be very fun, or it could be a train wreck worse than my Stab Your Day videos.
Well, I'm here, so I'm gonna vote more for Trainwreck.
Yeah, train wrecks are fun. Good morning, Indigo.
Good morning.
The A's. Tootly Pip, all the way from Britain, if I'm not mistaken. Jamie, phrasing.
Yeah, seriously. You know we can't be we can't be expected to stay. That's it. I'm ordering a bunch of Hawaiian shirts if this is what's the thing is.
Ooh,
And
I have to catch
so
up with.
so Granny is fired up. I was only gonna make one Granny video this week, but, Granny's fired up, so you're gonna get a, Grandpa Joe Biden, yes, you have 7 grandkids, and, look, it's not political, it's just that's a baby.
That's being human. Even though, like my father always said to me, it's not who makes them, it's who loves them. And
Yeah.
even
So
if it's a one night stand with a stripper fueled by enough meth to keep the German army going fast into France in 1940, maybe just recognize it as your baby, because it's not a good sign. It makes you look like a petty old man.
no, and I just read the article about it, and it hot mad pissed me off, so and now we've got these YouTubers, so it's a
Yeah,
double dose of Granny this week.
yeah, we are angry. And
Yeah.
yeah, the Bradley Yarn case, and that could be interesting. I just saw parts of it, but if this ends today, I'll maybe try to catch up, see how far it's going, if you like it. Reindeer, I'll look into it when I have a break, maybe in the 8 hours of break that will be on this stream today.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, it's just amazing. I gotta get angry.
I need an
Oh God,
assistant, y'all.
Farrell, you're always awake.
I was about to say, I don't think are you really AI, Farrell?
Yeah, I'm not sure she's a person. She lives off attic
What
dust, and it keeps her
I
going.
was about to say Jolt Cola and Monsters.
Welcome, Erin, and thank you for the like. It helps. Every little like helps. And yeah, the trial was supposed to start 2 minutes ago. So Texas time, they're not late yet.
No,
So
Texas and, the one that, Sal's covering, the Michael Turney case.
Arizona,
Yeah, Arizona. It's like they run on, I have no idea, Southern time.
something is wrong. Uh, I don't know why. Oh, Solomon will be on with House of Flux. Again, Americans, could you please change the time zones? Just, I'm not saying to Danish time, but just Greenwich mid time. What's it called? The British time, so I can watch all the interesting streams, because I miss everything. Talking about missing everything, the one we won't miss is Jamie. Good morning, Jamie.
Hi.
Are you ready? Are you ready to go? Yesterday,
Fired up.
4 hours of nothing yesterday. So
Woohoo.
that was interesting.
I didn't go back and watch any of it, so
Greenwich Mean
Yeah.
Time. Exactly. Thank you, Mass. It's because he's from the town with a university. He's a smart guy.
Ah.
Even though that university is it's so left leaning that the one in California seems like a
So did they
right
have
wing
a statue
dictatorship.
to Lenin or Mao?
No, but you can do. I saw one complaining that she couldn't get a job, and I think she had Japanese massage and some kind of drum therapy special. Why are there no jobs for a person like that? And remember, we don't pay for our education. We get it from our lovely government. That's why we pay our taxes with joy. And the university in Roskilde is it's known for you can study almost everything, and for almost all the time you want, because you can just change your subject. as much as you want. And every time the government said, well, maybe the time that's allocated plus 1 year must be enough. Then everybody goes ape something, because who could study on norm time? That's not enough. Hey, Gigi. There's a dog near a microphone.
For once, it's not my breathing or my kids. I'm kind of good.
Doggy death match. Apparently, they're just choking on something. I don't know.
And the ace, yep, it would be so much more fun if we could just stay up all night too and follow along, because all the good thing happens at night.
Jesus.
No, mess. You can get it on the government dole. It's very important that we have people who can teach these things in schools.
So what you're saying is my only chance to be a professor is to go there and make up a subject. Expert in Futurama and Sailor Moon.
Just write something about the environment, then you get a professorship. Yeah, we got to hear this guy. He's a player. Even in prison, he got another girlfriend. And there was a lot of talk on LNC about he sent 2,000 messages in 5 years. And everybody was, 2,000 messages in 5 years. He's just insane. And then I did the math. 5 years, that's like 1,860 days. So 1.25 messages a day. I think I'm close to that, even though I don't really go on social media after I'm done streaming, because I just want to sleep. But everybody was hung up about that, and that one of the witnesses had a mask on. So we have a more fun chat. We're not as big as they are, but we have the right amount of degeneracy and not enough stupidity. Yeah, I'll do that. Just to get into it. Yeah, there was some name, Sahara something. I couldn't understand most of what they were saying on the tapes, because some of it was in Spanish. As I said yesterday, the only Spanish word I know is from Blood In, Blood Out. Great movie. See it, everyone. If there's 4 hours at downtown today, you can see it. So I only know words like pendejo, jura, stuff like that. I don't understand what it means, but I think it's Spanish. And besides being in Spanish, it sounded like he was standing inside an airplane engine while talking on the phone. So it's so hard. But luckily enough, we have our local translator, our local taker of notes, if you can call her that, Murph Turf. She helped me out again. That's why I'm wearing a floral shirt. So it's not really floral. It's more like leaves, but I hope it's good enough. So we'll just go through it. They had the family on the first day, the sister, the mother, and uncle, who was a law enforcement officer who identified the body. Then they had a police officer in there talking about a lot of stuff he did around the time of the murder. Yesterday, they started out with the same police officer, and then they were going into to all these calls and all these messages from him to his lovers, his wife, his mom. And the defense objected. They said it would be prejudiced by his indigent status being up against state's endless budget. And the judge said, well, the defense have a lot of money too, because I signed all the papers. They didn't have a Spanish interpreter. They received more than 1,000 emails and 1,000 jail calls, many in Spanish. And state only provided a couple a few months ago, but didn't receive the final 5 calls that will be played in court until 1:30 a.m. yesterday. The jail calls, they believed, violated the 5th, the 6th, and the 14th Amendment, as well as it all is hearsay. And we all know the 5th Amendment is Jamie's favorite. There were 3 calls with the wife that were covered under spousal privilege, and called with another woman and his mother expressing concerns about cameras in the courtroom had no probative value. That was the defense objection. The state responded. Um, the judge lectured the state on his knowledge of how much the state spends on prosecution. As I just said, judge seemed frustrated, annoyed. State made incoherent arguments. Yeah, that lady prosecutor, she was really bad. And we had the two-tone lady doing the defense talking. She's really, really, really competent. I have to say that.
Yeah.
There's no spousal immunity due to the death of a child. Jail calls are being played to show defendant's character to control and cruelty towards his wife, shows he's not concerned about his wife. Call with his mother shows control and tells his mom, "You are not important. I'm the one that's important," as any good son would say. Emails show defendant had been able to nurture and create a relationship from jail. Ladies, don't be a Sal. Find someone
No.
outside of jail. Sal
Yes.
found a new boyfriend yesterday. The defendant is not divorced. We have talked about this through this trial. They are still married. And as I fantasized about or speculated about or whatever you will say, I believe it's because he have a really big government pension. And if he was released, then she would divorce him so she could get her hands on that.
I wonder
Communication
if
show.
that's something that she can ask for in the divorce, though. Look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but won't it, Murph? Is it 730 million they are suing him for, or 130 million? It will probably be taken to cover the trial cost. Communication show no remorse, that the defendant doesn't care what happened because defendant will remain in communication with these various women in La La Land. And the judge ruled that defense objections to exclude the emails and jail calls are overruled. And even after he overruled them, they were back for, I believe, 5 minutes. And then he overruled them, and I thought, well, should I start up a stream again? This is this case, the case from hell. So they went away for another 2 hours. Well, then they brought Dana Saquez, I believe. She's supposedly the last witness. Murph Turf has said the last witness, so maybe they're not bringing the 12-year-old on the stand. She's the intel supervisor of Webb County. She spent a lot of time telling you about how can you monitor these different kinds of communication. How do you know it's this person? It took forever, like all foundation testimony does. It took so long. And then, just to make everything better, they gave the wife's number in court for an open mic. The state did it just to make everything better. It was the state who doxed his wife, and she apparently still had that number. So we went on break real fast after that one. So yeah, it was all kinds of fun. It took a long time, but there was some smiles were had. Well, but the call logs that admitted, just to show how much he was corresponding with people, his wife, he had 2,320 communications with her. It's 51 calls in the last 6 months. That's not a lot. Grandma, 2,353. Mother and father, we don't have a number. Amanda, I'm not sure who Amanda is. I believe it was a woman who likes him. I'm not sure. You ladies are, yeah. But
who loves douche face? I'm confused. Like, I see that face and all I see is smugly and like,
yeah, but
not woohoo.
How did Nectar to Adam Montgomery have 4 kids with 2 different wives, and even had a girlfriend when he was picked up? Well, and then there was Sarah with an S or C. It's Murph Turst write it with an S. People believed it was with a C. I don't know. He had 293 communications with her, 235 in the last 6 months, 400 plus messages in the last 6 months. And a quick summary of the important calls was at April 18th in 2018, he had a call with his wife because the wife were hearing things about the victims and the family. In May 4th, another call with the wife. She was upset because people are asking her about the situation, and she heard text messages being read out in court. He betrayed her. She was in Florida in 2017, maybe. There was something about that. March 4th in 2020, call with the wife. The wife, defendant tells the wife to divorce him if she wants to. She's done it before. She says she doesn't want to because she still loves him. Yeah. And July 5th, day before the verdict, called with his mother. Defendant discussing his mom's attending the trial, telling his mom he's the important one, not her. Tells her to think and use her head. There'll be 4 to 5 cameras pointed at her face, then calls are muted. And the fifth call are muted. And the messages, they discussed how the system works and how you can do it. And then there's a February 12th this year message to Sarah, where defendant is talking about his wife, and December 22nd message to Sarah again, where defendant is talking about Sarah's exes. And we finished off with Dr. Gupta, who's internal medicine at Riverwood Medical Clinic. And he was board certified, reviewed the defendant's medical record. Defendant saw Dr. Perez every 3 months. From 2016 to 2018, defendant was prescribed phentamine, maybe?
Yes.
We need Jamie. She works with stuff like that. And testosterone injections and Amidex. In 2018, the defendant's testosterone level was tested normal. Dr. Gupta never examined the defendant and cannot state if he has had psychosis on the day of the murder. Dr. Gupta did not review the interrogation video, and he never testified on the interaction of phentamine and testosterone. But he said testosterone is prescribed for low testosterone levels, fatigue, and/or low libido. This man didn't have low libido.
No, this man needs to be on the opposite one.
Yeah, estrogen, all the estrogen.
He has the nipples for it, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, that's a side effect of testosterone. And young men take it to increase muscular mass and increase libido for non-medical reasons. Potential mental and physical side effects are frustration, anger, rage, mood swings, depression. Typically received an injection, but defendant was self-administering weekly with a needle syringe. There we have an explanation for the syringes in his back. Then there was the phentamine. It's a stimulant used to decrease appetite, weight reduction. I could use some of that. Potential side effects. Yeah, we have this new Danish stuff. It's for problem with people for insulin problems, but you could just shoot this into the rest of your life and you stay skinny. It's really expensive and it's a stupid way to do it. Just go to the gym, everybody.
Okay, here's the thing. My doctor is looking at giving me that because it's harder for me to work out. I'm making the changes with my diet, and I've got something. We're looking at therapy bikes. It's ridiculous, but yeah, it's something that should not be a magic fix. You have to work on the other things. Like, look, I haven't had a Mike and Ike's in about a month and a half.
Like Arnold said, abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym.
If Arnold would like to send me his maid that he cheated with and she can cook my meals, I'm cool with it.
How can you be that rich and could have almost any woman and then you choose that maid? Again,
why do
you start a relationship with this douchebag?
Why marry Skeletor? It's all sorts of weird.
Because she had the right last name and could get him into a politician's job. Yeah, that's the Ocean pick or whatever. and you're just gonna have to stay on it forever. And I believe in Denmark it's like 1,200 Danish kroner, like what's that, 200, 300 American per shot. It's just and it's for the rest of your life because you ruin your own insulin levels. So yeah. Oh, back to the stuff. Jamie, do I pronounce this right? Phentermine?
I think, does she have her headphones on yet?
No, I'm here. I was listening as I was trying to get everything situated.
Okay.
You give me too much credit because even as working at a pharmacy, I can't pronounce half this shit, but it's phentermine because it's phentamine is something different, but phentermine.
Hey, Jody. Well, the side effects of that is no. What it's used for, it's to decrease appetite, and you get mood swings, anxiety, rage, and in extreme cases, psychosis. And he had been on phentermine for 2 years, and Dr. Gupta typically, this is all the hard words today, only prescribes for a few months. Then he's on Arimidex, usually used for women with breast cancer, decreases testosterone to estrogen conversion, likely designed to boost testosterone levels.
Well, when you do the two together, I was looking into it the other day. It's really to help with the testosterone.
And it's to probably avoid some of the side effects, because when you take testosterone, your estrogen levels go up too, because the body has a way to try and make an equilibrium, and that's why you get the puffy nips.
And it has a lot to do with like your sex drive and stuff. So
this man needed no daggone help with his daggone sex drive.
He needed a circumcision right about 5 inches from the tip.
And then the wife is like, I still love you.
3 inches. She probably loved his pension. She's a government worker too. She knows the pension system is really good. But this Arimidex, I don't know, can also be used for testicular dysfunction. If you're unable to have children, why do I want to say kindred? But the defendant had children, so Dr. Gupta didn't see this as a reasonable reason to prescribe. No, this guy didn't need any help with his swimmers.
Mm-hmm.
And no, this was a defense witness expert. Oh, so the state arrested yesterday or something. Oh, I just got. Thank you, Murph. I didn't read the headline because I'm stupid. So the state's cross-examination, in parentheses, very long and drawn out. So I'm glad I slept through that. Medical board found billing discrepancies in 2007 with Dr. Gupta's practice. So he's probably not the nicest guy. Didn't impact his license. He was eventually able to fulfill any required obligation and paid a $1,000 penalty. And a repeat of what the defense questions, a waste of time, is how Murph, who I trust completely, described it. And did I time this right, or did I time this right? No, I removed it. No, you have it. Yeah, at least an M80, because this guy, he has all the sex drive. I want to bottle some of it because I'm getting everywhere and stuff like that.
With great power comes great responsibility, and he didn't have any.
It's because I have to work on my English and all the hard words.
Oh, he just could not look any greasier. Couldn't the lawyer have seen that before they walked out?
Yeah, and he didn't fix it correctly either.
Oh,
I didn't
that dapper
iron
gentleman.
my collar, so it looks like, but I haven't. This is a summer shirt.
That dapper gentleman in the back purposely messed up his suit because he's like, take it, F face. I don't care.
Skunky isn't there.
Dr. Campbell, please come forward.
Oh,
All the way over here, sir. Thank you. Good morning. Right over here with us. Right over here with me.
take your
Yeah.
hands out of the
Thank you.
pocket.
This is Fabian Vasquez. He'll be taking your oath, sir. Please raise your right hand.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
No,
truth, so
he
help you
changed
Thank
just
you. You're going to have a
when
seat
they
right
did the
up here.
closing. He
Please go
started to
and
look
report.
like he was in a
Get as
constant state
comfortable as
of
you can.
almost throwing up.
Pull up to the mic and we'll be ready to proceed with this examination. It's a voir dire examination.
You know,
of you
I
before
can't
we
ban
decide
people.
whether you're going to testify in front of the jury.
I don't have to bend down to this thing.
I don't think you do. I hope not. That'd be a lot of bending for you. The court reporter's right there, right below you there, Cindy. So this is a voir dire examination, so
Oh, what I am.
under the rules, right?
Hey,
They get to start the examination or
Sure.
or if you want to pass that on, whatever you'd like.
I'll just let it roll a bit because StreamYard
It is not
has
a
to do the
motion. It's not a,
auto. If it keeps going, please
Dauber
tell me.
or that type of motion, is it? It's a, let's see
You're
what the
here,
rules
everything.
say on that. But I believe that you guys, in other words, you're the ones that are contesting his, but if you want to do it the other way, it doesn't matter, whatever y'all decide to do. 1 second. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, sir, Isolda and I were bumping our heads with the other name that we have for this type of hearing.
Yeah, the court is low as always, but let's just try to get into it. So sometimes StreamYard has this auto balancing
I don't
and
think the defense has an issue with it.
it messes things up.
Well, the only thing you have so far is what they've given you with regard to what he intends to testify to. So.
No, we
so-
really don't. I don't know what he's going to.
Yeah, so you're in the dark with regard to what you intend to testify to. So why don't we get to that portion, and then once that portion is, or let's just start it out. However, do you have any objection to letting us know what his qualifications are, what he intends to testify to, and then you can come back with him with whatever it is after we take.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll do it that way, Mr.
Sure.
Lee.
Sir, would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Howard Blaine Campbell.
And Mr. Campbell, are you presently employed?
Yes, I'm a professor at the University of Texas at El Paso.
And
Let me ask you something, Mr. Campbell. Could you just slide, no, don't bend, just slide right to the edge of that little counter.
Gotcha.
Perfect, thank you.
and how long have you been at the University of Texas at El Paso?
32 years.
And what is your area as a professor?
I'm a cultural anthropologist. I'm also the chairman of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at the University of Texas, El Paso. By the way, we call it UTEP, so I'll probably say that.
What
Yeah,
the
let's
hell is
do
this
that.
man
UTEP
here
would be
for?
good. Anybody objection to that?
No objection.
No.
The minors, isn't it?
I can't
sir.
I can't spell cultural.
Anthropologist.
First all, after
Move.
NCAA.
Oh wait,
champions won.
old line
Sorry.
red has it.
1966.
Huh?
I'm kidding.
Just have to go through the steps. I can-
The triangle offense, right? Anyway, sorry.
All right.
I'm Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
I'm marking this as exhibit defense 12,
This is a new one.
which I've given to the district attorney a few days ago. And Dr. Campbell, could you tell us what that document is?
This is my curriculum vitae. That is all the work I've done as a professor, as an anthropologist.
And is that a
Probably
true and accurate
he looks more of the
copy
culture
your,
side than
CV?
the
Yes, sir.
Okay.
on the
Judge, at
people
this
side.
point, I'd ask that it be admitted into evidence as Defendant's Exhibit 12.
That'd be a court exhibit, non-jury, non-jury exhibit.
This one would be going to the jury. So this one, I think we're okay with it. Defendant's Exhibit 12.
Yes, sir.
It's a report if he had it that may not go in. So that's fine.
Fine, no objection.
Wait a minute. When subject to actually he being qualified, then it would go in. Otherwise,
I'm not sure he's about
it would not.
human
So let's,
behavior. That would be
it'll be called defendants.
a normal.
What, 12?
12.
And
sir.
support.
Subject to the expert being allowed to testify in front of the jury. If not, it would be then withdrawn
Thank you.
as a non-jury.
And you said you're a professor of anthropology?
Correct.
And what does anthropology mean, sir?
It's the study of human culture, basically everything that people do, but as part of groups. So it refers to our language, our food practices, our religion, the patterns of our behavior.
Okay. And could you describe your educational background?
Yes, as an undergraduate, I went to the University of Idaho in my home state of Idaho, and I have a PhD and 2 master's degrees from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Okay. And this is page 1 of your curriculum vitae, sir. All right. And then your areas of what are your areas of specialization?
Especially Mexico and Mexican culture, the culture of the U.S.-Mexico border, and drug trafficking. The first half of my career, I was focused more on things internal to Mexico. The second half of my career has been focused on the U.S.-Mexico border.
And you said you're the chair of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at UTEP?
Right, it's an administrative position.
And do you hold any appointments?
Yes, I have an endowed chair.
Thank you.
Sorry. It's the endowed professor of Western Hemispheric Trade Policy Studies. It's a fancy name, but it just means that I'm a specialist on the U.S.-Mexico border. But it's a recognition for doing a lot of research and publications.
And you mentioned publications.
We have to go through it every time.
I'm showing on the overhead projector it's still page 1 of your CV. Are these some of your publications, sir?
Yes, sir.
Murph.
So for instance, just 2 years ago, you published on downtown.
Did you freeze, Baker? Baker's internet really, really hates this trial for some reason. I don't know if I'm the only one here, so hopefully Baker will unfreeze in a minute. I don't know.
You published in peer-reviewed journals.
I have, yes.
Okay. And I'm now putting on the overhead projector page 2 of your CV. Do these represent some of your peer-reviewed journals?
Yes, sir.
Publications? And what does it mean to be peer-reviewed?
It means other scholars review my work and decide whether it's good enough to be published.
And so have you worked with Border Patrol agents?
Yes, sir.
And what has been your experience with Border Patrol agents?
Thank you, Reindeer.
Well, since I study over the last 20 years, I've been studying crime, especially drug trafficking. And so, of course, I also study the flip side of that, which is law enforcement. And so I've interviewed many Border Patrol agents and DEA agents and FBI agents. But in addition to my formal research and interviews, I'm married into a local family in El Paso, and my wife has a very large family, and it's a family of Mexican immigrants. Many of her generation, her father was a farm worker, but her generation, many of them became Border Patrol agents. So I know them personally, but growing up living in a border city as I do, such as say Laredo, one spends an awful lot of time interacting with Border Patrol agents, whether it be at schools where my daughters went to school because the parents are Border Patrol agents, or in the supermarket.
So he's there
or
to
at the
say that
university or around
they
town.
are under
I would
extreme
add
pressure and he
that
snapped, or what?
UTEP has 1,200 criminal justice majors. So over the last 32 years, I've taught hundreds, if not thousands of people that went from UTEP and went on into law enforcement, and many of those went into the Border Patrol. So I feel like on a personal level and on a professional level, I've had a great deal of interaction.
It's
Sir,
you
your
taught
suit too.
a
Did
number of
anyone?
Border Patrol agents at the
Everyone
university,
was
is
like,
that
I have to
correct?
wear a suit.
Yeah,
or
I
I
mean, some of them
protest.
were existing agents that would come even in uniform to class, but most of them were people that they aspired to be Border Patrol agents, and they became agents.
Okay, so you can speak about the culture of the Border Patrol. Is that a fair inference from your
I make no
experience and
promises, but
qualifications, sir?
Yes, sir.
Danish internet today.
And are you here to do an individual or give an individual opinion or assessment of Mr. Burgos-Aviles?
No, I am not.
And you're not are you a psychologist, sir?
No.
So one of the things I want to make sure before we get started, because this is a 705 here. Fine. Okay. It's basically just a hearing in which normally the ones who are asking for the hearing would go first. And it deals only with the voir dire examination of the expert about the facts and data that are underlying his opinion. Okay. It's not a full-fledged. Now they could, the Supreme Court has said that after that, they could make even an oral motion to strike the expert. And in any event, the examination takes place only for purposes of determining whether what the facts and underlying data are about his opinion. So that's what 705 says. And of course, it potentially doesn't end there depending on what happens throughout the examination. So just so that we know, it basically, and then it has a comment that basically says the opponent's right to voir dire the
That's a
witness
trick
about his
question. You
expert
can't have a
qualification
state in a fake
is
country.
left undisturbed. All right, so anyway.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
I still didn't find out what he was gonna.
What his opinion is going to be. I think we should at least start. Now, you don't have to. You can ask him right off the bat when you come up, what is your opinion going to be? And what were you hired to do? What's your opinion going to be? And then once he tells you, then you can go into the underlying facts and data of that opinion. Or you can ask him yourself and then we can get started.
Have you testified before, sir, in the court cases?
Yes.
And have you testified before Congress, for instance?
But
Yes,
you never
I
said what
testified
state you
in front of
lived
the
in.
Senate Foreign
lived in.
Relations Committee about drug violence in Mexico and on the border.
And did that involve Border Patrol?
It involved law enforcement
Okay. Now,
generally.
in regards to this case, what would be your opinions, or what have I asked you to testify about?
About the culture of the U.S.-Mexico border and the role of the Border Patrol in the border culture.
What does this have to do with
Yeah.
anything?
That's
It's
not my
amazing,
The culture
amazingly interesting, but I can't see
Mexican
what it has
border
to
and
do
what
with
else?
death penalty.
And the role of Border Patrol?
Yes, within that culture, within that society.
Okay. One of the things that they tell us in the rules is that normally,
Exactly.
so one of the drawbacks in a criminal case of as opposed to a civil case, you have an expert come in and give an opinion, is that you could be asking his opinions and then at some point during your examination, examination could be stopped, jury could be put out or walked out, and then we could the voir dire examination could take place at that point. And then of course the underlying facts and data of the opinion could come in then, the court will then determine whether or not it's connected and make a decision then.
So you're on the
Or,
East Coast,
The
If I do my
at that
geography
point,
right.
then the state could move to strike the particular expert orally, because the Supreme Court said they could do it at that point. And then he would testify. The drawback from that would be that, of course, the jury would have already heard some of his opinions, if not all. So in any event, we're doing it now to prevent that from occurring, or prevent that little bit that may have been told to the jury about his opinion and whatnot. So right now, the only thing I got is a general opinion with regard to, so he's not going to give any opinion specifically about Mr. Burgos.
That is true.
Okay.
All I'd also say is that, of course, the court knows that our mitigation case is allowed to be very broad, and that
It is.
anything that the jury may find mitigating is up to them individually. And of course, Mr. Burgos-Aviles' service as a Border Patrol agent is an important part of his life story. I'd also say, Judge, that, and I apologize, did I?
No, go ahead, sir.
Is that, of course, the state has made issues of certain Mr. Burgos-Aviles'
It's not Mr. Prosecutor, it's Mr. Defense.
Mr. Alanis opened on the threat behind the badge and spoke about his training as a Border Patrol agent and about how he knew, and it's been a continuous part of their case. So in order to address and rebut the state's aggravating factors, which they've introduced to this jury, things like foul language, things like infidelity, things like.
So I get that. So you're going to, again, the expert that you have here is someone who is extremely knowledgeable in the, what he just said was the culture.
Nicholas and I are something like 3.5 hours apart if I drive within the speed limit. So we are on the same time zone, and Nicholas just has this ability to turn his schedule around so he can stream at night. And I really don't see where they will be going with this, to say that because they have a high stress environment and they can't talk about the defendant directly. So would this take him out of the chair?
I'd like to listen to this guy just talk about stuff in his wife's giant family.
Yeah.
As far as what this has to do with anything in the case.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with this, because I'm sure that there's a fascinating culture around the border. Probably a lot of Border Patrol agents have family on both sides too. So there's so many tensions in that job. And as Murph said, let him proceed. The state let all kinds of things in. Yeah, but it do seem like this is not at all relevant, because all he can say is that the general Border Patrol agent has this kind of experience, but the general Border Patrol agent don't kill their mistress, as they call her on Law and Crime, and his baby. So I think this could go back.
If I'm on the jury and you waste my time with this BS,
yeah, you're going to be more. You're going to be angry and excited. I believe 2 of my friends lives in Queensland, so that's why I knew it was on the East Coast in the middle. So I geography well.
I just looked up a map.
Border Patrol in that area.
Was all right. Was it in the middle? You have Sydney down here, and then it's up here, and then you have the place of hell and death where all the dangerous things are up north. Yeah, probably. Just like I know everyone you know who has some kind of Danish heritage. They live just down the street.
Makes perfect sense. I often thought that.
Well, I've been in the military a long time. I did a couple of years on normal duty, and then I was in the reserves for a lot of years. And normally, even though some soldiers do crazy stuff, generally, soldiers are really well adjusted. We did a big study in Denmark, showed that because we had all this talk about PTSD, in Denmark, it's only 5% of the soldiers as a whole who has PTSD. In the general population, there's 10% with mental illnesses. So if you're going to say that it's work-life balance is all off, yeah, that's right. But again, does that mean you go out and kill people. That's my problem with this, because I'm sure it's super interesting what he has to say. But is it relevant? That's my problem. And just remember, 12 people have been sitting in this courtroom for more than 2 weeks now. They are gonna be so annoyed if they get a history lesson.
Well, they're going to be so annoyed if it gets 5 minutes into his testimony like yesterday and they have to have a 5-hour discussion about whether they can come back on or not.
But again, my dad used to be a paramedic or whatever you call them. My mom used to be a lab worker on the local hospital. Yeah, I've seen them on bad days. I have heard stories. But they don't go home and kill their baby mama and their small child. And he can't talk about this person. He has to talk about all persons, because he doesn't know this person. That's why I say it's not relevant. But what do I know?
If they're not going to drag it out, but if they could get him
Well,
phrasing, I know,
em-
in and
em-
out.
I'm sorry, I have to. There's a machismo. I know there's machismo. When I was in the military, we had a lot of machismo there too. We would never admit to having a bad day. Our psych eval was 400 people in one auditorium, where the psychologist stood in front and said, "Do anyone wants to talk with me? Raise your hand." There's 400 people who didn't want to talk with the psychologist, because you don't show weakness. It's not a Hispanic thing; it's a male thing. All the testosterone in our body makes us do really, really stupid things because we think you ladies like it. And that's the big problem. But again, you can't talk about a Hispanic culture, because not all Border Patrol agents are Hispanic. You can't talk about a killing culture in the Border Patrol, because not all Border Patrol agents are killers. He just got the lines made. He can only talk about every Border Patrol agent, not a single Border Patrol agent. That's my problem. Yeah, I'm sure, but again, give me a defense, not just fill time. Yeah, I'm not sure in your case. It could be something else. I don't speak Spanish. I can't talk to it, and I'm sure that I know there's a lot of swagger and stuff like that, and in us Nordic people, we are way more cold-hearted or closed when people meet us. But we still fight a lot because we want to prove we are men, and it's built into us too. But again, let's hear it. It's we can argue anything.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, you guys, it's a tangent, but there is Golden Girls betting. And I'm just saying.
and luckily I'm never wrong. I just make a lot of mistakes.
Mr. Mo is
So,
going to lose his mind.
Murph and I will agree to disagree, or else when I visit the US, she will show me all about this Hispanic culture I know nothing about. I only know what I've seen on TV, as with anything American. When I went to Taco Bell, but I'm not sure that's really culture.
Authentic American cuisine.
Yeah, it was so bad. No, I'll go.
It's good. It's just not.
Well,
thing I-
don't call any man gay, because most men don't take it as a compliment. I got my nose broken in 3 places because somebody called me I can probably say in Danish, in bøsserøv, that's directly translated is a gay ass. That's a derogatory statement in Danish. So I wanted to talk to him, and then his friend broke my nose. So we don't like it either. But
It makes you
nope.
look very rugged, but Baker.
Yeah, I have a nice scar all the way across. But
it's better than
back
your
to
toddler breaking your nose.
They are finally doing something in court, and I'm getting all kinds of history lessons. We'll take it later.
area
There will
in
be a
border
break.
cities and border towns. El Paso, although bigger than Laredo, is a border city with Mexico and has a large border patrol population.
Yes, sir.
And in general, he's going to give opinions with regard to that effect and that culture.
Yes, sir.
And your argument to the court is that should be allowed in because it's mitigating for in this particular case.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Anish, go ahead.
All right, thank you. No, that's fine. I would just like to respond briefly to Mr. Boggs' statement. One of our main theories has been and always will be that Mr. Burgos was on duty when he committed this offense, and that's the extent of being behind the badge, that he was on the clock when he committed this, not that it as broad as he states, but I just put that out there for the court.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
And welcome, Dr. Campbell.
Yes, sir.
And like the judge said, we're just trying to determine what you're going to testify for in this case, or what your main purpose is here. Have you ever taught at the Border Patrol Academy in Artesia, New Mexico?
No, sir.
And have you been able to study the manual of and the sources from the Border Patrol Academy
No, sir.
for this hearing?
No.
So you're not familiar with the policies, procedures, and other rules? If I can.
Go ahead, sir. I'm writing my notes down. Tell me your first name again.
Howard.
Howard. Thank you, sir.
I'm just going to show you State's Exhibit.
Yeah, they were real bad yesterday, and I'm so grateful you did the torture, not me.
Yeah, it's 515.8 and 515.9. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 515.
We should have been done last Friday.
And 515.9, just ask you to look through that document.
Say hi to EU. She's in the future too.
Can you read what it says here on the top of,
Yes, it says Lesson 3, Applied Authorities, Part 1.
I'm going to hand you 515.9.
And this is Lesson 2, Applied Authorities, Part 2.
Okay. Are you familiar with these training manuals from Border Patrol?
No, sir.
Are you familiar with the promotion process and grading levels of the Border Patrol?
To the extent that it's been studied extensively by a sociologist named Robert Lee Merrill, who described the process of how Border Patrol agents were promoted and became supervisors.
And are you familiar with that?
From his work, I have not personally studied that aspect of it.
Oh, okay. So, but that would be through another person's information.
Right, a leading scholar of the border.
Okay. You testified right now to the court that your opinions that you have been able to rely on, or your findings or conclusions, are based on having family members in the Border Patrol, correct? Or relatives?
Yes, but also hundreds, if not thousands, of students that either were Border Patrol agents or became Border Patrol agents And I've interviewed many Border Patrol agents for my published books and articles.
I understand, but I'm gonna go one question at a
Okay.
time through this whole
Yes, sir.
process. Which, like you said, it does include, it does include the many hundreds of students that you've taught, many of which have gone through Border Patrol Academy and become Border Patrol agents, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many Border Patrol agents are in El Paso?
I really don't. I know it's thousands, but I don't know the exact number.
Do you know how many Border Patrol agents are employed in the United States of America?
It's tens of thousands, but I do not know the exact number.
So a little over 20,000 agents in the United States Border Patrol. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm also going to show you what's been marked. States Exhibit 43.
Tweety, only Jesus can save Jersey Shore, and Jesus is like, look, I don't want to be brought into this
Yes,
conversation.
it says
right
United
now.
States Border Patrol Supervisory Technical Training Course.
And Tweety,
Familiar with the content?
you may be
No, sir.
coming in a bit late, but he already have a new girlfriend who he
Do you have personal knowledge
He
of
met
the
in
events
prison.
before this court from which you based your opinion on?
You're
From the
talking
events in
about,
this case?
yes, I've read documents about this case.
Okay. You're familiar that Mr. Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles was a supervisor of the United States Border Patrol,
Yes, sir.
and that he was on duty at the time.
I believe we're beyond the qualifications of
Well, I mean,
I'm trying to.
other than determining, then asking him broadly, what is the factual basis of
This is
and data of your opinion? I think Mr. Alanis is taking the route
If
of
I'm on
asking
the
him
jury,
specific
look,
facts
I have
and whether
finished
he
all my
knows
books
about
on
them.
my Kindle, and I am pissed off now because every night I'm going to go home to kids that are wild and need dinner.
Yeah, and
After-
you can't have your Kindle, so you're even more pissed.
well,
Yeah,
just
I'm-
his slow asking of questions is driving me crazy.
Yeah, and remember, the jury is
Uh,
now in the room, sitting, waiting again to do something. Yesterday it was 4 or 5 hours. They were just doing nothing.
mhm.
y'all, I'd take up smoking just to get out of the room.
I would just go in and offer the state that I could do it behind the bike shed, like Joe Biden. And Baker, no, not Baker. I'm not. I'm reading my own name. I'm so tired already. He has
this is killing me.
he has a girlfriend named Sarah. So yeah, it's he's been in a prison cell for a really long time, but he met a lady, sweet lady named Sarah.
Oh my God.
He took him into account for purposes of opinion. I think he's allowed to do that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. So my question is, you were not present on April the 9th of 2018 when these crimes occurred,
No,
correct?
sir.
The opinion that you have is based on the observation of others, documents of others, sources of others, correct?
As well as my own.
As your own, like what, for example?
Interviews with Border Patrol agents, living in a border community for half my life and living among Border Patrol agents, interacting with them socially in the classroom, informal professional interviews and conferences, etc.
But isn't it true though that your studies in interviewing these agents would be focused on the, I think you mentioned, and I haven't had the benefit of knowing what you were going to testify here today, but I take it that your background is on around the area that you mentioned about drug trafficking.
Correct.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Ciudad Juarez, as probably many of you know, is one of the centers of drug trafficking in the world and one of the centers of drug violence.
I think Son,
I worked the first half of my career in Mexico.
he's somewhere
It
else
was
today.
very
He sent me another
fascinating.
video, but I
It was
won't show it
Mexico.
if he's not here.
But living in El Paso
Oh, yeah,
and
where is
seeing
he?
this tremendous, basically, holocaust of violence related to
he was at
drug
the gym
issue,
today.
I decided I needed to focus on that. And so I began to talk to everybody I possibly could and go to Ciudad Juarez and meet with people and learn about the drug business. And so
This
I
is a
learned and
defense
interviewed
witness.
a lot of drug traffickers and drug
They
dealers
had
and
a-
so on, and people that were
They had
affected by
a
the
witness
drug violence.
yesterday about his
And I also talked
testosterone,
to
and now
law
this is
enforcement
a
agencies of
cultural
all types to try to understand their
anthropologist
perspectives on
to
this.
talk
So
about the
this
culture
became
in the Border Patrol
focus of my
community.
research.
For
But
the
then I
defense.
also broadened it out to many aspects of border society, including farming and including food and many other things, to try to understand how people live on the U.S.-Mexico border. And so law enforcement, of course, plays a very big role in that, and the Border Patrol specifically.
I got you. And I certainly appreciate all the work that you've done because it is helpful in the form. I'm sure that information can be relied upon by law enforcement agencies to better do a better job. But you'd agree with me in this case that this case is unrelated to anything having to do with drug trafficking. This case.
This particular case, I would say in terms of the direct facts of the case, no, but I think that drug trafficking and the fight against undocumented immigration is the purpose of the Border Patrol. And so,
And I wholeheartedly
Right.
agree. Their
Yes.
mission is to protect the.
That should be done yesterday because she was on before the doctor talking about testosterone. So if they had any cross of her, then that should be yesterday.
The border, illegal drug trafficking, illegal entry, to stop terrorists, all of those mission statements, correct? But more specifically, I need you to answer that in this particular case, and you said you've already studied some of the documents and you're familiar with Mr. Burgos's being found guilty of the double homicide of a girlfriend of his and his own son, that there was no elements of drug trafficking in this case. Yes or no? That's all I'm asking.
well, I think the answer is a little more complicated.
And I understand, but my question to you right now is my statement correct that this case did not have any elements of drug trafficking? This is a double homicide of his girlfriend and his own son.
I guess the way I would answer this is that an individual is part of a group, part of a family, part of a community, part of a workforce. And so their life is affected by all of those things. As I said, the Border Patrol, one of its primary missions is fighting drug trafficking. So the Border Patrol is very much focused on that effort, and that influences the lives and the work of Border Patrol agents. And what I'm saying is that an individual is part of the group. So the defendant here is part of the Border Patrol. And so drug trafficking and undocumented immigration are always part of the life he lived when he was in the force.
And I agree with you, but I also, and what we're trying to see is really if your opinion is relevant to this case, because obviously the information within your field is widely accepted, but it just may not be for this particular case. I mean, do you have any information that Griselda Hernandez was engaged in drug trafficking at the time she was?
I think the
Okay.
witness has answered this.
That's been asked and answered, but I think what the focus of the board hour should be on the data. First of all, his opinion. His opinion was, I think, has been expressed that it's going to be the effects, I believe, that the culture of the Border Patrol and the Mexico-U.S. border and its work has affects somebody in a role similar to the defendant, and so
No,
especially
this
in
is what
supervised
here
capacity.
to test if he
And,
can come and
And that's going to
testify
be used for
before the
mitigation
jury.
purposes. We're not in the guilt and innocent phase of the case. We are in the second phase. And I think that's, where does his facts and data come with regard to
Yeah,
that opinion?
Okay,
I
so
really
think
don't
that's-
understand this
I'll
witness.
ask him about his sources. But your sources in this case, as you testify, come from interviewing people. Is that correct?
Well, I interviewed one Border Patrol agent, and I interviewed Mr. Burgos, and I was supplied with a lot of documentation from his attorneys about the case.
When did you interview Mr. Burgos?
It was several months ago.
Okay, so you interviewed one Border Patrol agent.
Right.
You interviewed Mr. Burgos,
Yes.
and you said that you also have relatives or family members or former students who are in the Border Patrol. Is that correct?
That's part of what I said.
Correct. And that you have relied on them in all of these that you've described collectively in reaching your opinion.
Right, but I think you're minimizing what I have done and what I said. I said I'm trying to understand the role of an individual within the Border Patrol in relation to the Border Patrol itself and the border community and the border culture. And so I've relied on vast numbers of sources of 20 years of observations and interviews and research. And I know all the leading scholars, and I've met with many high-ranking officials in law enforcement. So it's a broad base of knowledge. It's not just a
What
narrow
ticks me off
sample.
is I really want to hear this guy
And
speak, but I don't get what.
Do some of your sources include empirical? Have you done empirical testing on this subject matter?
I should explain that anthropology is part of the National Science Foundation, but our methodology is not a laboratory methodology. What we do is we observe people, we talk to people, we interact with people, and we collect all of those bits of data, and that is the source of our information. It's quite different from psychology or the natural sciences involving laboratories and clinical experiments or testing. We don't usually do testing as such.
So it's more a historical type of information?
And contemporary. It's about interaction, what we call participant observation, interviewing people, spending time with them, observing them over the long term.
And these of course you say in interviewing and talking to people.
Yes, sir.
And how is that verifiable?
I take notes. Sometimes I record the interviews. It depends on the circumstances, but this is done in a very systematic fashion. It's called ethnography. There are hundreds of books written about this. It's a standard methodology of anthropology and sociology.
So is this would be described as a soft science?
It's part of the National Science Foundation. It's a science.
But is it a soft science?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean,
well, I'm meaning
Sir,
that like you said, there's no, it's not in a laboratory. There's
it's
no
not like
measure.
he said gender studies or something. I mean, don't.
No, but again, what's the purpose of this? This is my big question. I think it's an amazingly interesting field of study to see how you could look at with the changes in how the Border Patrol has been acting as more of keeping people out, and now today it's just give them a phone and at court date. Do they feel differently? Stuff like that. But how does this relate to what happened to Griselda?
That's
Yes.
where you're losing me. I'm confused.
Yeah, and this and his amount of evidence is one interview with the defendant and another border agent about stuff, and he can't talk directly to this case. Normally, a thing like anthropology, which is the study of humans, you need more than two people to be able to draw any kind of significant data from that. So I think it's just I don't understand it. It's yeah, I think it's weird, but I
Yeah,
won't.
you know what? At this point, if I'm the prosecution, I'm just going to let it in. Let them ask the stupid question. Do you think the guy that says, "Well, being a Border Patrol agent is hard," is going to change it from life in prison to I'd just be like, come on, we're just pissing off the jury.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's counterproductive to do this. Even if you believe you have 0.5% chance to help him get out of the chair with this witness, how will the jury react to a person talking about being married to a Hispanic and living in a Hispanic community with Border Patrol agents? Everyone this is in Laredo, I believe. Everyone there knows somebody who's connected to the border in some kind of way, either in a good or a bad kind of way. So I don't get it. Yeah,
don't get it, but I'm not
I
an
understand what
anthropologist.
they probably is gonna do, but again, as a whole, which is what he's allowed to talk about. He's not allowed to talk about the person, Ronaldo Anthony Burgos-Aviles. He's allowed to talk about the entire Border Patrol force. He can say they have a stressful job. They see crazy things. They see victims of coyotes and stuff like that, and they can react badly because of it. But then he has to bring in how many Border Patrol agents kill their baby's mama every year to prove anything has any correlation with the job. It's just not anything that, to me, you can say that his job as a Border Patrol agent has anything to do with this trial. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that they're doing anything, but again, you have 12 people who's going to decide this case, and they are waiting for a little over an hour now. When they come back, if he's allowed in, they're going to do this again in front of the jury, and the jury is going to be PISSED off.
Yes, we are.
Well, I really don't know much Spanish. I know gordito, tacos, Tex-Mex. Yeah, and you have the one who killed 4 women of payable pleasure. That's a whole lot of nothing comparatively, especially if you ask an anthropologist, because an anthropologist looks at the entire population of a given group. So it'll be hard for him to say this job directly correlates with stabulation of women. We're going to Texas. Perito? I know nothing.
Quantifying, there's
But that does not make it any less valuable. It's a different methodology.
and I'm not saying that it's not
Yeah,
valuable.
but you would
and I'm
want
not trying
any
to
relevant. And remember,
argue with you.
this
I'm just
jury
trying
has
to
been waiting for 4 to 5
establish that
hours
the information
every day.
that you're relying on is through outside sources, correct?
No, sir.
Exactly.
It's through interviews, through observation, through collecting all manner of information relative to human beings and their place within groups.
Yeah, but those sources are outside sources that you interview. People you
Sir,
talk to
he's
are
not
outside
going to say
sources.
his job has been a waste of time. Stop.
I'm
Not there yet. But
I'm not trying to argue. I'm just asking that these sources, they're outside. You
Ándale,
rely on
mami.
information given to you by other persons in the field.
Well, for example, I wrote 2 books about Ciudad Juarez. I spent 20 years, well, actually 30 years going to Juarez and talking to people of all stripes and spending hours and hours and days there. This is deep immersion. It's not something superficial.
And I'm not saying it's superficial. I'm just trying to make the point that when you, for purposes of documenting and interviewing, you're recording either by writing or through tape recorder.
Judge, this is clearly argument.
No,
This
it's
is not a
not. I'm
question.
trying to establish the
Just-
sources.
I'm not- I'm trying to, in other words, you're trying to actually see documents. it's not DNA testing, basically. It's not that, but we're not talking about DNA. I guess he's talking about, and I guess when you say outside sources, that's what you're saying. In other words, you didn't discover it yourself type of thing. You talked to Border Patrol, that's an outside source. You talked to somebody from Mexico, that's an outside source. I guess it's you talk to a third party type of thing, right?
That's
I
all
get-
I'm trying.
Yeah,
That's all.
and it doesn't make it, the court will take all that into account. And that's the data that he has. And the question for the court then would become at the end, whether the court would find that the expert has sufficient factual basis for his particular opinion. That's basically it.
So in gathering your data, what sort of principles do you rely on that make it reliable?
Well, we have a professional obligation and ethics to report the facts, to report things objectively and truly, and to not distort information, to not lie, to not change the information.
So, but you're reaching conclusions about historical facts. Is that right?
Contemporary and historical circumstances.
Can the judge just say, I mercy rule with this? We're just wasting the jury's time.
Yeah.
And the reason you believe your studies in the bicultural and border and interior Mexico and drug trafficking is relevant to this case. How?
Well, I've studied more than drug trafficking, but
Yeah, he
my
mentioned
point
more.
about it was that through the course of studying drug trafficking, I also studied the other side of the equation, which is law enforcement. And on the border, you have a very heated situation of conflict between U.S. law enforcement, Border Patrol, DEA, et cetera, and criminal organizations in Mexico and immigrant smuggling organizations. And the nature of the work in the Border Patrol is in this context of conflict, of people that are trying to break the law, people that are trying to enforce the law. This creates and informs the culture of the Border Patrol, which is the context of the individual agents.
Okay, are you aware, if you studied this case, that Griselda Hernandez was not breaking the law that day? Are you aware of that?
I mean, I don't know the whole circumstances, but I presume that she was not breaking the law.
Do you know that she was pushing her stroller on a trail?
Again, Judge, I object. We're way beyond the scope.
Sustain.
Okay. Do you know that this was not a drug smuggling case?
Yes, sir.
And you also know this was not a human smuggling case?
Yes, sir.
And you know that Mr. Burgos was not intercepting
I studied it.
any criminal activity on the border at the time of this
Judge, I
crime?
think we're just repeating.
No?
Just ask an answer.
Gracias.
Okay. Just a few more questions.
Same Murph. What is this?
Just a few more questions. Oh my God.
No
get
more
going.
questions.
About what?
They're trying to kill me.
And this lady prosecutor keeps
If I may interrupt you with a question for the
tapping his
expert,
arm and
Mr. Andes, and then
sliding
if
him
you'd like
notes
to
and
answer
nothing
some
happens.
questions on that. Want to make sure that we get what your opinion is going to be with regard to this case, specifically your opinion about not. You're not here to testify on Border Patrol in general, but even though that has an effect, your opinion about specifically
The judge is killing me
your
too.
opinion with regard to how Mr. Burgos fits that particular category.
My understanding, my role in the case is to explain the culture of the border, the culture of the Border Patrol, and how that affects individuals such as Mr. Burgos.
Okay, so culture of the border and the culture of the Border Patrol and what they do, and how that affects Mr. Burgos' life in general.
Yes, in his work life.
But
All right, hold on a second.
Yes.
Okay.
I-
And if you can think about it in the context of mitigation, Mr. Alanis.
yes, sir. So then I'm basically trying to establish that all of your years as a
Well,
PhD and your studies
That's the
of
only
the
thing that could
Mexico
help this
culture
guy.
are greatly relied on gathering data provided to you by other persons.
I think this judge,
Well,
he was
that's
done
half
with
of
this
it. The other
case
half
last
is
Friday.
direct observation.
And can you explain that methodology in order that you make your conclusions?
Yes, I mentioned it before. It's called ethnography. And we also
It's
describe
called what, Doctor?
ethnography,
Ethnography. Okay.
ETHNOGRAPHY. And it involves participant observation. I live in a border community. I interact with a very large number of people, and I'm always aware of how they talk, how they behave. I'm constantly asking them questions. It annoys my wife all the time because I'm interviewing people at the Whataburger, but that's the way I function. And in the course of that, you learn a lot about people. It's, as I say, anthropology is part of the National Science Foundation. It's a very respected
Hey,
discipline.
Venom.
It's worldwide. My
We're
department
still
is,
not
in
started.
fact, the original home of the field of border studies, which is now a global academic field. It's a very important social science field, and it took the U.S.-Mexico border as its paradigmatic case. And our department founded
I
that
think
field.
that's
We
what
just
you
got a
think it
PhD
is,
approved by the
Baker.
University of Texas system, and our primary emphasis is the border. And so we
It's where
are
the
in the border, we're
peace
on the
must
border,
be a
we
city.
live the border. That's how we do research in anthropology.
And I completely understand that, and I do see the importance of your studies. But
No, you
by
don't.
your own admission, more than half of the information here is relied on by your interview and documenting of what people tell you. When you interview them, you talk to them at Whataburger, you talk to them at the marketplace, you talk to them when you get a haircut, correct?
Yes, sir, and we consider that a positive thing.
Okay, but those are, in the court of law, those are known as hearsay statements. Do you understand what that means?
Mr. Allen, and experts are allowed to rely on hearsay. Remember that. So let's try and shorten the hearing.
Oh,
Get the new
like, oh
information
my God,
and
I hate this
questions with
guy.
regard to-
He's
I
aging.
hate everyone. The entire courtroom is sentenced to wasting our time.
Yeah, we've been going for almost 1.5 hours.
And you did testify
Nothing
that you
has
did
happened.
interview Mr. Burgos. How did
Other
you use
than
that
Murph and I
information?
got into an argument.
Well, I wrote up my notes from the interview to understand him more and put it in the context of the data and documents I was given about the case. But I was not asked primarily to study Mr. Burgos or write a report about Mr. Burgos. My role, as I was told, was to talk about the culture of the border and the culture of the Border Patrol and how it affect an individual such as Mr. Burgos. But given that I was in Laredo, then yes, I took the opportunity to interview him to understand the case better.
So in studying Mr. Burgos, were you able to determine that he had a stellar record, that he had a good record with the Border Patrol?
My understanding is he had a good record with the Border Patrol, yes.
So how do your studies and Mr. Burgos's performance?
Well, have
as
you
a
ever
Border
seen the Steve
Patrolman,
Gosney stream?
How
You
did
have
they-
to grift your books.
What's the connection between your studies and Mr. Burgos?
He's just learned from Steve. That's
Well,
not
as I
his
say,
fault.
my primary role is not studying Mr. Burgos. It's to understand the case and especially add context and information about the border setting, the Border Patrol, the life we live here, and how that affects an individual such as Mr. Burgos.
But you're not a psychologist.
No, sir. But as I said, anthropology studies groups, and we're all part of groups, whether it be ethnic groups, family groups, community groups, countries, nationalities.
So
And these influence our behaviors, our mindset, how we live.
So how does the culture affect Mr. Burgos? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I believe if I'm asked to testify, allowed to testify rather, that I will talk about how the culture of the Border Patrol influences individuals and they become part of a group Border Patrol culture and they behave in certain ways.
Well, okay, but Border Patrol are law enforcement officers that enforce the law.
Correct.
They're not a culture that promotes breaking the law.
No, but
All
in
all
any
I'm hearing
culture, you have
is music
people
at this
break
point.
the
My
law.
ADHS ass
And
has,
especially on
you
the
know, gone
border,
through
given
and
the
looked
temptations
at
of
Prime again
corruption
and
and all
made
the
sure I got
conflict
everything I
and
wanted.
violence involved in enforcing the law,
Enforcement
there
and
will be
always so
infractions, there will be mistakes. I think that's expectable, predictable.
And I would understand if this was a bribery case, because you encounter people in the brush or trying to we see you've seen them too, cases of agents letting loads
I'm sorry,
go
the
by.
district attorney is just giving opinions.
No, I'm not.
If we could
No, I'm not. You're such a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
Objection, monologuing.
yeah, and again, he's doing the right thing, saying this has nothing to do with this case. But what do? They talk forever. They have done this through the entire trial, and as John Gary says, even if the culture promoted murder, that would not be the way to. It wouldn't be a mitigating factor. That's correct.
Mm-mm.
Me gusta las mujeres locas.
He does like us, so.
Do you know what this stuff says?
Cono de la madre. I know nothing. I'm just a dancing monkey pressing
Okay.
buttons.
Please,
I think
please
me gusta la
donate to
mujeres
Baker.
locas is I like the crazy ladies. I don't know.
I love it.
It's working.
I'm assuming that he's going towards a question, so I'm gonna give him a little leeway. Go ahead.
So in our line of
Just
work, and you've seen it
forward.
before too, and I appreciate what you say, that drug trafficking culture spilling over or its tentacles coming into affecting agents in them doing their duties, correct?
Correct.
Sometimes people become corrupted, correct? For money,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
okay? And in that aspect, when there's that temptation, and we've seen it in El Paso, and we're in Laredo, Texas, so we have similar cultures, correct?
Absolutely.
And that those studies that you have, that immersion of agents working, trying to intercept, capture, infiltrate, sometimes results in agents committing crimes,
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay, but none of that was present in this case.
No, but what I'm saying is that drug trafficking and the fight against undocumented immigrants creates a culture within the Border Patrol
Dennis,
in which
we're
Border Patrol
changing
agents
it. Mama
have to be
Grande
on alert all the
is
time,
now
that
grandma
they're
for
apprehensive,
everyone.
they're tense. It's a very difficult job, and it shapes their lives in many profound ways. And so even if one particular instance isn't involving drug trafficking, that's sort of the context, the backdrop of the work of the Border Patrol.
I don't have any
Thank
further
you.
questions.
Any questions?
So within anthropology and sociology, there is quantitative methodology. Is that correct?
Yes,
And there's also qualitative methodology. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And is one preferred over the other?
Well, in the field of anthropology, the majority of anthropologists are qualitative, and it tends to be favored over quantitative.
And the qualitative data, that's relied upon by anthropologists throughout the field. Is that correct?
Yes, and it's what I was just describing, the ethnography and the collection of data in the way I have.
And that was, and I think you answered this question, that was the description that you gave to the district attorney when he discussed you irritating your wife by interviewing everyone. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, sir.
If I could have just have 1 moment. Thank you for your patience, Professor.
All right.
Pass the witness.
Yo soy hombre macho para las mujeres.
You may step down.
Okay.
We'll let you know here in a minute whether you're going to stick around or not.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Aren't we all?
Careful on your way down.
I wonder if this cultural anthropologist knows enough about the area to know in a minute means 4 hours.
Yeah, he's just rolling out his sleeping bag and lying down.
Again, this is a 705B hearing. They're very common when there are experts in the area. Normally, they're in I see them more when the defense actually asks for them as opposed to when the state does. But in this case, because there's ample experts in the punishment phase of this case, I know we're going to see them here. And we are limited, as opposed to a Daubert or Kelly Robinson hearing, we are, the focus is not, like the focus would be on a Daubert, Kelly or Robinson type of hearing, the focus is not the reliability and even the relevance of an expert scientific theory and methodology with the way it would be in that particular examination. This focus is merely on the specific factual type of data that supports the expert's conclusion, and that's, if the court finds that in fact it does, in the context of its opinion, then it must allow especially in this type of case, in a mitigation type of case, it must, in a capital case, it must allow him to testify. So that is where I'm coming from when I make this particular decision. I really don't need any closing to that effect. I've heard what I've heard, and in this type of case, in this mitigation type of realm, I'm going to allow him to testify as the expert in the particular opinions that he's going to give, that he's listed here, that he would
Is
give.
there any list of defense witnesses?
And not go outside of that, basically. In other words, whatever he told us here today with regard to what that is, as long as he stays within those lanes, we'll be perfectly fine with this testimony. All right. So we're going to call him as a witness. We're going to get the jury in, and then call him right back.
Your Honor, but just to be clear, and he did testify that he wasn't here to testify about Mr. Burgos.
Well, he was here to testify about Mr. Burgos. I understand. Mr. Burgos, not Mr. Burgos the individual, but Mr. Burgos the person who is part of a group, Border Patrol agents that work the border.
I would just want the court to instruct that we're clear on those parameters, that I'm understanding, just so that we're all on the same page, that he's going to talk about the world that is comprised of Border Patrol.
The man has said 800 times what he's going to testify about.
The culture of the Border Patrol.
Can we?
The culture of the border and the culture of the Border Patrol.
This is why I would get in trouble in school.
The work.
The man has already answered 8
work.
times what doggone he's going to say.
I made a note here. And
Mo, can you turn the top knob a little bit to the right? You're
the
low.
work effect of his work something.
And that Mr. Burgos that's the world that Burgos works.
And he is a part of
Je
that.
parle
As a result of
pas
that,
peu français.
as a result of that, he adopts that culture. He adopts that particular work environment, work ethic, work whatever it is that may be. I heard him say that.
We're going
And
to do Danish for you.
for the
all of you
record,
in a
I
minute.
intend to ask the exact questions that I asked during the voir dire, which is, you are not here to present an individual opinion about Mr. Burgos-Aviles.
That's
And
not nice.
I expect the answer to be consistent. No, he is not. Now, if the
You scared
district
her away.
attorney
Right.
opens that door and goes into that, I can't control that.
Right. Okay.
Just
Thank you, sir.
making sure
Well, this
it
is
doesn't go
this is
there.
you did that for purposes of hearing, but that's a
Better
different
than
reason.
that
Yeah,
was it.
absolutely. All right.
You can
So
always find my
let's get ready to get the
opinion.
jury in. It is 10:15. We're 15 minutes late on them. I think we're okay. So they're not going to have a break this morning. So if y'all need to get a break right now, because I'm sure by the time we're done, we'll get ready to come in. They'll take about
Oh my
5
God.
minutes to do that. So if you need to take a break right now, facility break, go ahead and do it now, because we're not going to break
Jamie,
until we break
this
for lunch.
judge,
I think.
I would-
Having said that, I say that with
Just gonna give him
extreme
a
caution. So
lobbying choke.
thank you.
Well, that's the Mama
what?
Baker way when she was still alive.
Oh, yeah.
Just yell louder in Danish.
Mr.
people,
Ms. Jackman, do you remember we talked
200
yesterday
will not
about,
stand you.
where's Mr. Boggs?
No, I was talking about the exhibit 12, that you just said we were gonna wait.
Yes, Exhibit 12 is now coming in, because it was subject to him being able to testify.
So we're just going to go live and watch Great Seal of the County of Webb. this case, y'all, I'm so glad I learned new Spanish word. I don't understand what they mean, but I can say mujeres, loco, locas.
I'm glad you have so much trust.
Well, what could they do? Clip me, put me on the internet saying stupid stuff? That never happens.
Never.
But the 5 minutes of break, that's 15 minutes ago. No, 20 minutes ago. So, yeah. Can you, if any of you Texans have a special clock you can send us so we can understand how your 24 hours works? Because I know Americans don't do 24 hours. They only do 12 and 12 hours because math is hard in the US. But Texas time, do you have like 28 or 29 hours in a day?
It is, in fact, a good
Let's
question.
get Dr. Campbell, please.
Ooh, I got excited.
Don't get
Maybe a bit too soon, but that happens a lot.
Oh Lord, there's still DA is still freaking lying. Like, stop! Just let the man in.
I don't know which loophole I found because I can see I'm 3 likes down, 33 viewers and only 30 likes. So I lost something
my
in the
bad. I
algorithm.
didn't like.
You know what? I think I might have done that too. Let me do that. Nope. Okay, I did like. I don't know.
I learned that you should grift that a lot and say, well, if you don't like it, I'm just going to turn it off.
No, don't be like that person. I hate that.
Yeah, because it's just like the people who spent 15 minutes at a meeting saying, oh, it's so annoying that the other people didn't show up. We were having a meeting today and now we're here. Shut the and get on with the meeting. I don't care about the people who didn't want to be here. If 34 people now is here and only one of them had liked, I probably didn't even like it myself. But I'm just happy. I really don't get this crying and moaning because you could have 0 people watching. That's if that's the bottom line. Everyone past 0 is a win.
Yeah.
Truth.
But
It builds. You just have to.
yeah,
keep
but a lot of people are sitting and looking at analytics and saying, "Oh, I only get 75% like. I only get 20% something." I don't care. I just love that you would spend a nice afternoon with me, looking at the balding forehead of the judge, trying to fight Father Time because he's winning in this case.
You
People
were
will die.
sitting on
and,
here talking when there was like 2 people, and you loved every second of it, and we were just living it up with you. And now you have 35. Wow.
Yeah, and that's the thing I hope I can continue to have on YouTube is I have this little stupid 35 counter in the corner. I really don't want to look at it.
Thank you.
I'm just
Please have
happy
a
that
seat.
my stream is going fast and Murph is teaching me that you have to
Mr.
tell an answer
Boggs, did
45
you want
minutes
to make an
before.
announcement with regard to Ms. Sarkis?
Judge, we would like to reserve our cross-examination, and if necessary, we will call her during the defense case.
Oh, that must be
So
the
basically, you're not, if necessary, you'll call her during your case if you want to examine her.
Yes, sir.
All right, very well.
so
Based on that,
reindeer was right.
your next witness would be after Ms. Sarkis. I'm going to release you for now, but you're not excused from
The rule.
this meeting. So we will stay in contact with you as soon as somebody else wants to call you, if at all.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're excused for now.
This you could never do that in Denmark.
Mr. Adanese,
If we're
your
starting at 6,
next
we're
witness-
starting at
next
6.
witness, if
The
any.
food will be on the table at
Down to the state
6:15. If
will
you
rest
show up
at
at
this
8
time.
o'clock,
Thank
you can just leave again. We hate people
So,
being late.
Mr. Peña and Mr. Boggs,
He does that too.
the state has rested.
If they say
you have any
4:30,
announcements?
better not be there till 5:30
Judge,
because
we would call on Dr.
nothing will be done.
Campbell to the stand.
Dr. Campbell.
It's presently 17:39. I hit it because it's shy, and I
Good morning, Dr. Campbell. I know that you've already been sworn in. Please have a
Thank
seat
you
right over
for
here,
reminding
sir,
me.
and we'll get started, sir.
Oh, God.
Water here, just in case you need-
Remember that fun and
Don't flip
exciting
that.
talk we had? Here's part duh.
Yeah. Let's do it all over again. Let's time this
Mr. Boggs,
guy.
will you be doing the examination?
I will, sir.
You may proceed when ready.
I really don't care.
Good morning,
I
sir.
absolutely don't care.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is
I could
Howard
care
Lane
much less.
Campbell.
And again,
Are you
all
currently
this
employed, sir?
Wadia stuff,
Yes, I'm a
it's okay,
professor
you
of
have to do it,
anthropology
but
at the University
the
of
jury
Texas at El
doesn't
Paso.
care.
And
Just say,
is that commonly
I
known
work
as
with
UTEP?
this,
Yes, sir.
and that's
And
that.
how long have you been at UTEP?
For 32 years.
And you said you're a professor of
Slide that mic.
I'm never wrong. I just make a lot of mistakes.
You said you're a professor of anthropology, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And does that mean that you have a PhD?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so is Dr. Campbell appropriate for you?
Sure. Yes, sir.
I would
Could
really
you
like
tell
to see Bruce
everyone
Campbell.
what anthropology
trial.
means?
Anthropology is the study of human
Building,
culture. It's how we live.
deep-
It's the language we speak, the food we eat, the religions we practice, everything to do with being human. That's what anthropology is.
Yeah.
And
Tell us about how she hates
sir,
going
if
to
you could,
Walmart because you ask people,
I don't
oh,
want
you're
you
buying
to-
chicken. Is
you're
that
quite
because you
tall,
have
but if
this
you could, not bend
ethnicity
over,
or
just
this
make sure that you
ethnicity?
speak loudly
I
so
can't
that
say
that,
ethnicity.
microphone
There's too many
projects.
T's in
Yes,
that
sir.
one.
Is it on? It's on. Okay. And Judge, may I approach?
Ba-dum, ba-dum.
So I'm approaching with his been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 12.
Yeah, in this trial, we really like to
And
be able to
recognize- take a
ask
moment,
questions.
flip through
Just
the
send the
pages,
judge
and,
after every witness.
Tell me if you
Can we go
recognize
home
that.
now? Can we just taking our bag?
Yes, I do.
Okay. and
Do
what
this
is that
again,
about?
and we'll be on
It's
trial.
my curriculum vitae, which is a summary of all of my research and my career, my professional career as an anthropologist.
Um, and is that a true and accurate representation of your curriculum vitae?
Yes, it is.
At this time, I ask that Defense Exhibit 12 be admitted into evidence.
No objections.
And you don't have to go through it. It's in the record. They can look in the jury room.
Sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth. So, sir, I'd like to go a little bit over
No, we're just starting to tell the jury about
your
this fine
educational
professor.
background. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I have a BA in anthropology from the University of Idaho, which is my home state. And then I have a PhD and 2 master's degrees from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Yeah, we really,
And then
really need
after
it.
you received your PhD from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where did you come?
It's past 5.
I
can
came
be
to
drinking.
El Paso to UTEP, where I became a professor.
Okay. And have you been a professor at University of Texas, El Paso since that
They
time?
probably know
Yes.
the culture
Okay. And
because
do you hold
everyone
any
in the
current
jury
titles
know about
at
the border
University of
protection
Texas,
and
El
the border
Paso?
crossers. and all
Yes,
this
I'm the
stuff.
chairman of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, and I also have a thing called an endowed chair. It's a recognition and honor for my research and publications.
Am I the only one giggling when he says
And,
loud?
No, I was trying to be an
I
adult.
want to get
but
to your publications in a moment. But have you testified before in court?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And how many times?
They
More
just
than
wanna
100
go home.
times, I think.
And have you testified before Congress, for instance?
Yes, I testified in front of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about drug violence in Mexico.
And
I'm getting some more coffee.
can we talk a little bit about let's talk a little bit about your publications. I'm showing on the overhead projector page 1 of Defendants
Soy el
7.
mejor, nunca
This is a
estoy mal, solo
2021
hago
book,
errores.
Downtown Juarez, Underworlds of Violence and
probably just
Abuse
confessed something.
by the University of Texas Press. That is your book, is that right,
Yes.
sir? Okay. And in addition to books you published, have you published peer-reviewed articles?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And I'm showing page 2 of Defense Exhibit 7. I don't want us to have to go through all of these, but so for instance, so the fourth one listed here on narco, and could you pronounce that for me? I'll mess it up.
Narcocoyotaje.
Okay. Illicit regimes and their impacts on the U.S.-Mexican border. And that's from 2016, it appears. And is that a peer-reviewed journal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does it mean to be peer-reviewed? I don't believe I asked you.
It means other professors, other scholars review my work and decide on whether it's good enough to be published.
Okay. So it's not like they just saw your name and decided to publish it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And within anthropology, what would you say your areas of specialization are?
My areas of specialization are Mexico, the U.S.-Mexico border, and drug trafficking.
Okay. And as a part of drug trafficking, what does that include?
I do extensive interviews and observations in Mexico and in the United States of the issue of drug trafficking. I also interview and observe law enforcement officials that are fighting drug trafficking. I've been doing this for about 20 years.
Okay. And when you say law enforcement involved in drug trafficking, does that include
The fight against drug trafficking, sorry.
Thank you for that correction. Does that include the Border Patrol agency?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you came here from El Paso.
Yes, sir.
And you lived and taught in El Paso for close to 27 years, is that correct?
About 32 years, essentially half my life.
And you've lived in Mexico, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you study and teach on the border.
Yes, sir.
Now, you know that you're speaking to a Laredo-Webb County jury who live on the border. What can you tell them about the Border Patrol and the border?
I think the Border Patrol is affected strongly by the issue of drug trafficking and undocumented immigration. So the Border Patrol is kind of in a vice. It's on the border in between Mexico and the U.S., and the Border Patrol is tasked with an almost impossible job, which is stopping the flow of tons of drugs into the United States by drug cartels in Mexico. So we have a war on drugs, and the Border Patrol and the DEA and other U.S. law enforcement agencies are fighting this war, but it's extremely hard to accomplish because the border is 2,000 miles long, and the drug cartels are heavily armed and well organized, and they have thousands of people working for them. And now also you have undocumented immigration, often controlled by criminal organizations in Mexico, equally well organized and well armed and effective. And so most of the drugs and most of the undocumented immigrants get into the country and illegally. And so the Border Patrol is facing this almost impossible task of creating law and order and security in a very chaotic situation. So I guess what I'm trying to emphasize here is that the Border Patrol is a very hard, dangerous, and stressful job, and it's fighting against high odds.
Now, you said you're an anthropologist, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is, as I believe you said, the study of groups. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're not a psychologist,
No, sir.
okay? And you're not here to give us an individual analysis of Mr. Burgos-Aviles. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now,
He just has a dead stare.
I have to ask you, you're an academic. Are you an egghead critic of the Border Patrol?
No, I'm not. Because I study criminal activity, I'm very concerned about law and order and security. And in fact, my wife has many relatives who are Border Patrol agents. I have great sympathy for the struggle of the Border Patrol and the DEA and other U.S. law enforcement agencies that are fighting, as I say, to control this very chaotic and dangerous border. And so
Iris, you
even
called
though
it.
I
He's
study
like, look, I
these
married
matters,
this woman. She has
I
a
have
bunch of family
sympathy
members.
for
I just
law
wrote papers
enforcement.
about
I don't
them.
have sympathy for criminal organizations in Mexico, however.
So, and you are aware that Mr. Burgos-Aviles is a former Border Patrol agent, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at the time of these murders, that he was actually a supervisor in the Border Patrol, Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, could you tell us what life is like for a Border Patrol agent?
As I said, I think it's hard, it's dangerous, it's stressful, because the nature of the work is it's rough. It's out there along rivers, it's up on mountains, it's along a desert and brush, confronting enemies you can't even see, or people running at you here and there. They may be armed with guns, with knives. It's a hard job. It's a dangerous job. It's a stressful job. And people's shifts change. They work all night. They work during the day. They work in the heat. They work in bad weather. So I would say that even though it's a reasonably well-paid job in a border setting, it's extremely difficult work and very, very stressful.
Now, you said you study groups.
Yes.
Would you consider Border Patrol agents are a group?
I feel like
Yes.
I could have learned all of this by watching
Is there a
Narcos.
culture of Border Patrol agents?
Yes.
And
What is
could you
this?
tell us about
What
that culture of Border Patrol
have to do?
agents?
Yes, I would emphasize it's a very masculine culture. About 95% of the agents are male, only 5% female. And there was a recent report by a very good journalist called Erica McIntyre.
Can I object to hearsay? I'm objecting to hearsay.
He's an expert, Judge. He's offering his opinion. He's allowed to. is what I'm saying.
If you can predicate it with whether or not those are the type of articles or whatnot that he used to be able to form the basis of his opinions.
So when you are studying the border and Border Patrol, do you look at articles and interviews and base your opinions on that data that you collect?
Yes, I do, and I conduct interviews.
Okay. And the opinion that you were giving about the culture of Border Patrol agents, is that a data source that you use to form your opinion?
Yes, sir.
If you could tell us, please, about the culture of Border Patrol agents.
What I was saying was that it's a very masculine organization because most of the Border Patrol agents are men, about 95%. Only about 5% are women. And recent reporting has discovered
95%
there's a
of
great deal of sexual harassment and abuse
street
of female
sweepers,
members of the Border Patrol.
sewage
Including the very
workers,
first class of recruits,
auto
one of
mechanics,
the women was raped. And so I'm
male.
not saying that all Border Patrol agents are, masculine, hyper masculine, macho, bad men. But what I am saying is that the Border Patrol is dominated by men, and so a male culture prevails within the agency.
So, for instance, is something like testosterone, is that a common used medication for Border Patrol agents?
I'm going to object.
Does this man have two ties on?
How the hell should he know? Has he seen the medical records of every Border Patrol agent?
No, y'all look at the defense guy's tie. Is that two different damn ties?
No, it's just a smart one where it's two-toned.
Oh,
How much contact have you
I was
had
thinking the
with
same
Border
thing.
Patrol agents in your
Looks like he's got two on.
decades of studying the U.S.-Mexican border and law enforcement?
Very extensive. My university has 1,200 criminal justice majors. A very large portion of these criminal justice majors.
If you're
intend to and
low
go
in
on to become
testosterone, you can
members
get
of the
it,
Border
especially in
Patrol.
the U.S. You
And
can
so
get
I've had
these
Hundreds
testosterone
of
replacement
students that were
theories.
either Border Patrol agents in
therapies.
uniform or they were future Border Patrol agents. And I've known these people after the time they were my students. And then in addition to that, through my wife's extensive family, which includes many Border Patrol agents, I've socialized with Border Patrol agents very often. Also, I raised 2 children in El Paso. They went to school. Many of
Did
the
your
kids'
children make
parents were in the Border
take
Patrol. I see Border Patrol
testosterone?
agents in the supermarket. I see them all around town. As people in Laredo know, the Border Patrol is everywhere in a border town. And so through the course of that and through interviewing Border Patrol agents for
Yeah,
my
but
books
then you
and
have
my
to see
articles, I've learned a lot
everybody's
about the
medical
culture of the
records.
Border
And it's not
Patrol.
enough that you see them at
And
Waterbury.
in those interactions and those interviews, those are things that you've relied on to give your opinion today. Is that what I'm hearing correctly, sir?
Yes, sir.
And so do you have an opinion about use of a medication like testosterone among Border Patrol agents?
Yes, I would argue that the culture of the Border Patrol, as I said, is very masculine. So you're talking about beer drinking, barbecues, football, big trucks, talking about women, bragging about sexual conquests and infidelities, bodybuilding, going to the gym, using steroids and testosterone to look buff. Because, as I say, the Border Patrol is very
Jesus
masculine
wept.
culture.
What is this
There's a
about?
lot of competition among men. There's male bonding, but there's also this desire to be the alpha male and stand out through weightlifting, through training, through being physically fit, having maybe tattoos, looking powerful in the uniform, and steroids and testosterone play into that.
And those things that you described, is that common in law enforcement generally?
I'm a border
Yes,
patrol
I mean,
agent.
I think the nature of law enforcement is that it tends to be masculine. It tends to be
Yeah, I think we need to
favor
start
tough
checking out
behaviors
these barbecues.
and both male bonding and male competition.
Now, you said masculine. A word I've heard is machismo. Is that something that you would use to describe law enforcement culture, including the Border Patrol?
Yes, I would.
And
Yeah.
what is machismo?
Flashing the tattoos to show
Machismo
how
is a
manly I
complex
am.
rooted in the Spanish heritage and the Latin heritage of many of the people of Latin America
Then
and
I
the
have to
United
cover the
States
nipple.
that
It's
are of Mexican descent or say Colombian or what have you.
We'll
And
send
it's
you
a kind
some
of cultural
pasties, Baker.
complex in which a man has to be tough,
yeah, I
dominant
wouldn't know
within
how
his
to use it.
family, dominant
Again.
over women, dominant over children,
7 days of trial where I
fighting
didn't
back
understand
against
what
any
it was.
conflict, defending the family, defending his physical integrity. It's a well-known concept that's very common in Latino cultures, but of course also in white cultures, European cultures, but it goes by other words, other names.
So you're not saying just because someone is Latino or Latina that somehow this means they are definitely falling in that category, are you?
No, of course not, and especially Mexico and Mexican-American people are
Yeah,
changing
if you
with
need
times. Mexico's a very
you need
modern
to turn over
country
all
now.
the big sausages.
And
You
so
really
less
need
and
the
less do I see in
testosterone.
my students and my colleagues and people I know this machismo complex, but I think it's very, very common within the military and within law enforcement still.
And things that are
Yes, you
categorized
need tough
by
people to
machismo,
run
would
where the
coarse
bullets are
language
shooting.
or
Are we
cursing be
confused?
something that would be characterized by that?
Yes, there's a whole slew
No,
of
please get,
vocabulary
you
and
know,
jokes
Finian from the gender studies group.
terminology that are associated with being a macho. And so many references to sex and sexuality and to the penis, using words like chile or other common words to refer to a male's penis or to talk about a woman's vagina. Or
I'm done, Baker. We're done, right? We can be done.
We're talking about a guy
What is
who
going on?
potentially is going to end up in the chair or under the needle or whatever, however they do it in Texas. Now we are talking about males talking about genitalia because they are in the Border Patrol. A small revelation, ladies. I know this for the anthropologists out there. I used to be a baker, and we had a saying that I'm not sure I can say this on YouTube, but when we were tired, we normally just talked about T's and A's. Because
It's
you can
almost
always
like
talk
this
about
man
T's
has
and
never
A's.
heard of locker room talk. Like he's just like, it's fascinating, but when you get a group of men together, they seem to talk about women and their peen size, and I'm like, how is this news?
Yeah,
Yes.
and even a Dutch social worker is probably talking about T's and A's too. If there's no ladies around, because if there are ladies around, we don't talk about stuff like that. But when we're not, we are always talking about how big we are and how strong we are and stuff like that. It's not because you're near a border. This is just so ridiculous that it should be a very special border or military culture. Yeah, when I was deployed, if someone had a girlfriend who sent him some good pictures, everyone in the unit saw it. It was before you could send text. I'm an old guy, but still, you got the Polaroids, put them up, and then invited everyone in. And believe you me, some guys believe they had a nice girl. I've seen things I didn't want to see.
Baker's like the horrors.
Yeah, things that was too long and too hairy.
Well, I know, seriously, this man is like, have you seen Speedy Gonzalez?
Yeah, the degenerates just pop right in chat when
Yeah.
even if they have a uterus, it could be fine too. And I bet when you ladies gather around, because you can never do a barbecue and you can never work in law enforcement, military, or the border patrol. Sometimes, like yesterday, when a certain witness was on the stand, you talk about making snail trails and have the urges too.
Yeah, believe me, when women get together, it's nothing but peen talk too. So,
Yeah, we're just as bad. So
but he's
Uh,
saying things.
we did in Denmark. We had a a work health thingy where we had to put in. I'm not sure I said this the right way, but some suction to suck up all the flour dust. But bakers still have the problem. We get a lot of flour eczema and what's called iron lungs, because just like people working in mines, the flour coats the inside of our lungs. So a lot of people get can't tolerate flour. I can't stand rye flour. When I touch that, my fingers just starts scratching. Yeah, he could just say that and say, "Have you ever seen Speedy Gonzalez, the little mouse?" It's typical for Mexican people to run around and go, "Ay ay ay."
Yeah, it's basically that. Like, oh my God. And the fact is that you're going to have the personality types, the machos. People are running toward danger. They're not going to be your, everyday average person. They're going to have some of that, I want to work out. I want to be strong. I'd like them to be strong. I, he's,
and the
he's
things
saying
he
all
was
these things.
describing sound like my family. We
I
have lots
know.
of barbecues. Everybody's, you know,
All the guys are standing
alpha
around with a
male.
beer and puffing their chest out,
Yeah.
and when you ladies go inside to get the salad, which no one eats at a barbecue, they are saying, "I was at the gym yesterday, and there was this
Yeah.
fine mamacita. Everything was just the way it should be, and if I hadn't had the old hack at home, I would have done her." And everyone is saying, "Yeah, you would," thinking, "No, you wouldn't." But
I'll
so
say that's the only thing that my family isn't doing. They're talking about cheating on each other, but they definitely have no problem talking about sexual
Yeah.
stuff.
I know my family just wants to
Puffin
make me
chest.
blush. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to
and
know
and
anything
and
about you.
I know.
and that's
Stop.
that's the funny thing, that it's not a problem when you do it, but if we do it,
No, I
like
don't tell people about my stuff because you're
No.
my family and I love you and I don't want to horrify you. But my brothers are like, and I'm like, no, I don't know. I've never wanted to know anything about you like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and again, it's just we're sitting here to figure out if this guy is gonna go to the chair, and we're gonna talk about male dominated workforces will often have a male masculine tone. Yeah. And female dominated workforces will often have a lot of, can I say, no, I have to say
Bitching.
beef fighting and
Drama. Yeah.
and women running around saying, "Oh, you look so pretty today," turning around and say, "That fat bitch, she better not be here tomorrow because I hate her ass. She's always talking and I don't like her because she's such an asshole." And, "Oh, honey, you got your nails done. You're so nice."
Facts and evidence. We
I
are
work with
horrible.
all women, and my poor boss is a male, and it's hilarious.
My
We'll talk on the side sometimes. He's like, "What is wrong with you ladies?" I was like, "I don't know."
Like,
yeah, the good
I don't speak for us. I
Yeah.
don't know.
the good thing about a toxic male masculinity environment is if we don't like each other, we either fight or tell the people. We don't go around and say, "Oh, you had your nails done. Look, she looks like a hooker." It's my ex-wife always said, because she was a chef, so she worked in a lot of kitchens, and there's a lot of females working in kitchens. She said she hated it when there was a plurality of women. She liked it when there was a lot of guys, because things just get done, because if there's too much talking, if there's too much BSing, some guy would say, shut the F up, get moving. And then 10 minutes later, we're all talking again. Everybody's friends. I'm just... Yeah, it's so stupid to think that only Hispanic males would do that. I've been with every kind of guy. And when I was deployed, we were Lithuanian, American, Danish. What? I think we had some Finnish guys, and we had some Polish guys too. We're all the same. We're kind of stupid, but we talk in the same way. Well, if you snooze, you lose. This Mexiless is only on show for a few seconds at the time. Yeah, I've been with every guy, and I know everything guys talk about. When I go to Whataburger, which we don't have in Denmark, I wanted to try it. I just ask guys, "What's your penis size?" Because it's really important for guys to talk about their penis size and how much testosterone do you take. And people look at me funny and say, "You're a weirdo." Imagine living next to this guy.
That's basically all they do.
Oh my God.
You shake hands. You're like 6.5 on a good day to the right, and
Yeah. It was cold. It was cold that day, so it's a 2-inch. Let's get on with this.
What have you.
thrower, not a
These are
shower.
part of
damn it.
the standard vocabulary of hypermasculine males in all male groups, oftentimes, but sometimes with women, to talk about masculinity, to talk about a kind of hypersexuality.
Normally they say, "Why don't you take testosterone? With those small arms, get going."
Don't
This is
forget
part of the
leg day.
machismo complex that you find in many law enforcement agencies.
It's the truth.
And I believe you mentioned infidelity within the Border Patrol and the law enforcement.
Sorry.
Are there marital problems that are associated with this
It's a bigger
stressful and
stream. It
difficult
will
job?
go off the rails.
Yes, all the classic studies of law enforcement, police, border patrol, what have you, show high rates of divorce and infidelity because of the nature of the work. Often these changing shifts, all night
You
shifts.
don't give them the side eye.
24-hour shifts, very stressful, dangerous,
Only if you're the
difficult
biggest
life.
guy.
But in
and you
addition
want to
to
make
that,
sure.
the hyper-masculine nature of police and border patrol and other law enforcement agencies encourages this kind of male behavior of infidelities, having women on the side and so on.
So, and let me ask you about within that culture, child rearing, especially for a male child, what that may be like, sir.
Typically, a macho parent would be domineering and bully his male children.
There's no mamacita at the casa.
And
Say it again.
could you tell me,
I said
are
there was
there
no
any special
mamacita at the
challenges
casa.
for a Latino who is not Mexican, say Puerto Rican, who is policing the United States-Mexican border?
Yes, I would say that
Because
a Puerto
I'm a
Rican
toxic
and a
male, so
predominantly
I do
Mexican-American
a
or
lot of
Mexican
side
communities such as
pieces. We
the
have to
US
do that.
Mexico border is a
It's
double
encouraged.
minority. They're not fully accepted into the larger Anglo-Saxon
Yeah.
society.
I hate
but
people
they're not
coming in
fully
to trying to
accepted
talk
into the
to us.
Mexican/Mexican-American society.
And could you tell us about what it means to be a supervisor within the Border Patrol?
Well, supervisors obviously have more responsibility.
Oh.
My understanding is that supervisors gain their
I'll
position
do
through
that.
seniority, through putting in time, through putting in years in the force. According to Robert Merrill, who wrote this great book called Patrolling Chaos about the Border Patrol on the U.S.-Mexico border, supervisors within the Border Patrol, according to Merrill, tend to be mediocre people. They're people that conform to the rules, kind of show up on time, do their duty, but they're not overly creative or innovative. The ones that are too creative aren't promoted. And so what you get is someone who's loyal,
This guy's
who's
like, I did a
conformist,
good job.
who shows
damn it.
up and does their work.
Yeah.
It was
typically.
middling, not mediocre.
Would it be fair to say that they're rule followers?
Yes, sir.
If I could
Which
just have one.
rule is it that make you stipulate your child and his mama?
I mean, I get what he's trying to say because he's trying to like put it like because of his culture, he's
Thank you for your patience. I would pass the witness.
I don't know.
What is that all?
Oh no, please don't let her talk.
We've been going for 2 hours, and he just wanted him to say that there's a toxic masculinity in law enforcement, and that every border patrol, ladies, if you know one, the wife, every border patrol has a side piece.
And they're all
the-
taking testosterone, and they're all talking about peens all the time, just everywhere.
No, it's a rule that they have to have a side piece because they are border patrol agents. It's the
And
culture.
they're stressed out.
This is just so stupid. Again, I know what they want to try and paint a picture that he's a victim of his circumstances, but again, we have a small boy on 3 or 4 videos laughing, stumbling around with the chubby little cheeks, who's here no more. That will make him bleed. Yeah, all of my side pieces are still breathing. Yeah,
Oh, my
again,
son.
I hate the state in this case too. Don't get me wrong, and I bet this will take an hour.
I'm ready.
I will just pass this witness after saying. So you're saying
Good
every
morning,
border
Dr.
patrol
Campbell.
agent
Morning,
does this? No. Good. Bye.
As part of your preparation in this case, were you able to review the records in this case?
I was
Exactly.
able to review hundreds of pages of documents about the case, if that's what you're referring to, yes.
Yes. You know, I'm going to publish some graphic photos.
What I said an hour ago. It's
and
you
just
can't
for
make a
warning
correlation in this case.
the audience.
Okay.
Judge, I would
Ven
ask for the wrongs
conmigo,
of
mamacita.
sensationalizing the
I can say.
graphic photos to
Sorry.
the jury.
Oh, here he comes.
He's on cross. We talked about machismo.
No.
I want to show him.
No, it's what makes the pieces on my side. If there's going to be a break, I'll show
I'm
the
gonna
video
publish these
that you sent
photos.
today.
Got it?
Oh my God.
You talk about machismo
Sir.
and border patrol agents.
Yeah. Again, how many border patrols kill? I would just ask him that
Yeah.
question.
Of killing an 18-month-old baby by cutting his jugular and carotid artery fall under machismo?
I would say no, that in the positive side of machismo, one is defending their family and the honor of the family and the individual.
So this is not machismo.
Well, this appears to be a dead child. And
Are you aware that this is Mr. Burgos' own child?
I presume so, yes, sir.
In the area of machismo, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 186. This is the mother of that child that was killed on a dirt trail with Mr. Burgos on duty on the morning of April the 9th, 2018.
Why
Is this
does the
machismo?
defense attorney look shocked?
No, the original concept of
Because
machismo
this is really
involved
bad.
chivalry, defense of women
Well, I
and
understand
children,
that, but he
defense of
had to see
honor,
this
defense of
coming,
family.
right?
No, I think they are that stupid.
Okay,
And-
never mind.
As Murph say, this state really have to tighten their ship. This is all they should ask him. Is this part of machismo culture, killing your own
Okay,
children?
bet in the chats or bet in the chat. Are they going to stop with this like normal good lawyers, or are they going to talk to death about how it's a soft science?
Yeah, I would, if it was me, I would get out of this in 2 seconds. Look at the face on the witness. He knows he didn't help with this answer. Just keep it short and simple. Say none of this is machismo culture, so his entire evidence is out the window. That is what I would
Let's see
do.
what they do.
Yeah.
So right now they have a winner, and as John says, why do you use all that time to keep him off the stand? For right now, he said what he did is nothing to do with the positive machismo culture that he proclaims the Border Patrol has. But let's see how bad they can do it.
Have you ever taught at the Border Patrol Academy?
No, I have not, sir.
Are you familiar with the Border Patrol training manuals?
No, sir.
You testified as to agents taking taking testosterone. You say that you speak to agents at the supermarket, to your relative.
So that's because it's what's called a voir dire, where you ask the expert what his knowledge is and what he's going to testify about without the jury being present. And then you bring in the jury, do it all over again. So you get your beauty sleep. You need it more than anyone.
Relatives who are your wife's relatives that are Border Patrol agents. Do you have a questionnaire where they answer these questions?
Yes, but also I do informal interviews.
Do you have any of that data with you as far as how many agents you've interviewed that have confirmed to you that they take testosterone?
I don't have that data with me, no.
Is that data that's recorded by you as far as them taking testosterone, or is that through verbal discussions?
The verbal discussions are data. I take notes on these.
I know, but I'm asking you specifically if you have a questionnaire that when you meet an agent, you ask them, hey, can you fill out this questionnaire where it specifically says, are you a testosterone taker?
Typically, I don't pass out a questionnaire.
Part of the
I
trial.
engage in conversation with the people, and I have the questions in my mind. I have a list of questions that I ask people. But anthropology also involves all kinds of spontaneous, informal
And
interactions.
this is the wrong way
trying
to
to
take
collect
it.
as much knowledge and information about
Questionnaire.
people's lives and their
Questioning.
worldview as we can.
I understand that, but under questioning by Mr. Boggs, you're here telling the jury that every Border Patrol agent in the country is on testosterone. I would like to know.
Good question.
Okay.
With my ruling.
Yes, sir.
Rephrase your question.
My point is, you do not have it documented anywhere, the subject of agents on testosterone. Is that true?
I've seen studies that indicate that steroid use and testosterone among Border Patrol agents is common, and they have told me these things.
I understand, but I'm asking specifically you. If you, because you testified, I'm asking if you yourself have it documented of the number of agents that you've spoken to, if it's documented that they are all, or as many as they are, on testosterone, yes or no? Do you have it documented?
I have to explain and elaborate that.
I understand, sir, but my question is a yes or no question. If you testified to it, I'm asking you, do you have it documented as to how many agents are on testosterone that you've spoken to? Do you have it documented, yes or no?
I have it documented. I haven't counted the number of cases.
Okay, so you haven't counted the number of cases.
No.
Yeah,
Now,
you should have stopped after.
your
the
expertise is in drug trafficking, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Now, how many capital murder cases have you testified in?
I've testified or written reports. in
That's
more
not
than-
my question, sir.
Testified, I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. You're talking about oral testimony in court?
I'm talking about a capital murder case where the state of Texas is seeking the death penalty against a border patrolman, or any capital murder case. Have you taken the stand and testified to? That's all I'm asking. How many of those cases have you, under oath, testified to a jury?
I would have to review in my memory. I've testified in death penalty cases in Georgia, in Texas, in New Mexico. Some of these involved not actual court testimony. I'm just trying to, it's been 25 years, right? And these cases come and go. So I would say 4 or 5.
That you testified as an expert
In
witness?
court, yes, sir.
Your specialty is in
This is defense.
the Mexican. And I want to make sure I get this right. It's regarding drug trafficking in the Mexican culture, in the bicultural border. What is your specialty in?
Okay, the first half of my career, I lived in Mexico. I worked on various aspects of Mexican society. I lived in Mexico City. I lived in Oaxaca. I now live on the border. So Mexican culture and politics in Mexico were the primary emphasis at that time, the first half. The second half, living on the border, I've been more focused on the culture of the U.S.-Mexico border, many aspects of the culture, farming, food, language, family life, etc. But because of the tremendous holocaust of violence going on in Ciudad Juarez, I began to focus on the issue of drug trafficking. And in order to understand that, I put together my first book called Drug War Zone, half of which is focused on interviews and descriptions of drug traffickers, and the second half is interviews and descriptions of law enforcement agents fighting drug trafficking.
Okay. And I certainly appreciate the importance of the work that you've done, Dr. Campbell. But this is not a drug trafficking case. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And that's a
Well,
yes or no question. This is not a drug trafficking
Judge, I
case.
object. This is an expert. He's allowed to elaborate.
You can.
He's not allowed to
answer the question
elaborate.
if you
It's
can.
not about.
If you can't answer it yes or no, just let them know you can't answer yes or no, and then ask to see if you could elaborate. So
I prefer not to answer this in a yes and no way because it precludes a full understanding of the issue.
Okay, let me ask you more specifically. Is there any information based on the review of the documents in this case that the victim was trafficking drugs at the time that she was murdered?
No,
Is there any information in the records that you reviewed that the time that the baby and the mama were murdered, that they were engaged in human smuggling?
no,
Is there any information in the documents that you reviewed that either the mother or the baby were undocumented aliens illegally in the country?
not that I know of.
Is there
Yeah,
any
put it in the head of
information
the jury.
in the documents that you reviewed that either the baby or the mother assaulted Mr. Burgos?
No, not that I know of.
Is there any information in the documents that you reviewed that either the mother with the baby was involved in human trafficking?
No,
In the documents that you reviewed, are you or were able to confirm that Mr. Burgos was on duty at the time that he committed the double homicide?
yes,
In the documents that you reviewed, were you able to determine that Mr. Burgos tried to stage the crime as if the victims were assaulted by other persons?
I mean, I'm not a forensic expert, so I'm not sure if my opinion is that relevant here.
Well, if you reviewed the documents, were you able to
Yeah,
read the report?
Now he's doing it again, talking way too much. American lawyers like to talk way too much. We are not stupid people. Yeah, but if he had just asked the first question, if that's a part of the culture to kill someone, it would have been such a strong
In
ending.
reviewing the documents in preparation for this case, did you become aware that Mr. Burgos was subject of a child support case?
Yes, sir.
As part of your review of the documents, were you able to learn that Mr. Burgos summoned the victim and the baby in this case to the riverbanks on the morning of April the 9th, 2018?
Put this in closing. Don't.
Mr. Burgos-Aviles is already convicted. This is the penalty phase.
All right, let's-
It's
Stop
still
beating the
I'm gonna
dead
sustain
horse.
this.
Okay.
Let's move on.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you. Goodbye. That was a bad witness.
In your study of the Border Patrol culture, do you know that there's more than 20,000 Border Patrol agents in the United States?
Yes, sir.
I agree.
Do you know
with
how
your
many
agreement.
have been convicted of capital murder?
I do not, but I think it's a relatively small number.
Stop
No
there.
further questions.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Dr. Campbell,
Yes, sir.
You understand that Mr. Burgos-Aviles is already convicted of capital murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the district attorney asked you about other Border Patrol agents convicted of capital murder. You remember that just a moment ago?
Yes.
And one of those agents was Juan David Ortiz, for instance.
I'm gonna object. He just said he wasn't aware, and he's leading the witness.
It's an,
Overruled. Just-
and do you know the sentence that Juan David Ortiz received for his conviction for capital murder?
I believe he received life in prison.
Now,
That was the payable pleasure guy, I believe.
Now, you were asked by the district attorney about what you knew about the victims in this case. Various questions. Were they engaged in drug trafficking? Were they engaged in illegal activity of any kind? Remember that a moment ago, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, at any time during your direct examination, did you give any indication that the victims, Griselda Hernandez and Dominic Hernandez, were engaged in any illegal activity?
No, of course not.
Now, you're also shown some very disturbing and graphic photos by the district attorney.
Yes, sir.
Do you condemn those acts
Yes, sir.
without reservation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is anything you've told us today about life as a Border Patrol agent meant to excuse or justify
Then why did you
the
bring
acts
him?
that were given, that were shown to you by the district attorney?
I'm gonna object. He's testifying for this.
Just rephrase your question so that he can.
You brought him here.
Well,
It's,
sustain the
this is
objection
just stupid.
As asked.
I'm sorry to say, this is stupid.
does being a Border Patrol agent excuse or explain a capital murder conviction?
It certainly doesn't excuse it. I believe that my testimony about drug trafficking and immigrant smuggling was to help understand the lives of Border Patrol agents and the culture of which Mr. Burgos was a part, but it does not excuse his actions.
Now, Mr. Albanese asked you about whether or not you used a questionnaire. Could you tell us about what immersive or qualitative research for anthropologists and sociologists mean?
Yes, the methodology we use is called ethnography, which involves participant observation, living with people, living around them, interacting with them, talking to them, spending time with them socially, conducting formal interviews, sometimes involving questionnaires. This is a standard methodology. It's part of the National Science Foundation. Anthropology is a well-regarded social science. Its primary orientation is qualitative, not quantitative. We don't usually count things.
And you said it's a part of the National Science Foundation? Did I
Correct.
hear correctly?
Yes.
Now, I believe you told us you're not a psychologist.
No, sir.
Now, and as I understand, are you here to give a personal, individualized opinion about Ronald Burgos-Aviles?
No, I'm not, sir.
I pass the
Were you aware, in the case of Juan David Ortiz, that Mr. Ortiz, the other Border Patrol agent, gave a full confession?
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you aware
Exactly
that in the
twisted.
case of Juan David Ortiz, he did not kill his own flesh and blood?
I was aware of that, yes.
And are you aware that in the case of Juan David Ortiz, that he had been blown up by an IED in the Iraq War?
I believe I read that, yes.
No further questions.
That was pretty good.
Any other questions?
Are you aware that Juan David Ortiz was convicted for killing 4 people?
Yes, sir.
I have no further.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Campbell. You are excused here. You go about your business. Have a safe trip.
Thank you very much.
Take your water.
Hot out
You
there.
take another one. And you can- Thank you, sir. Okay. Approach, please.
Boom, boom, boom. Sidebar. Are they gonna go to lunch now?
My God. I can't take it.
What time, Iris? Can we get a time check? Then I'll show you a little parrot. There was another dog somewhere in the neighborhood who thought they were allowed to bark, but 11:30. Well, they could take an early lunch and then a siesta and a nap and another lunch, a second breakfast, and I'll probably do like I did yesterday. If they're not going on, I'll shut down for the morning, and then we do a recap in the afternoon. If they'll finish soon and go on verdict watch, I will of course try to follow along and see if there is any kind of verdict. And if I'm sleeping, I probably not be able to wake up. But if someone would DM me on Twitter, I might hear it. But I won't be sitting here for the full afternoon. But of course, I will. If anyone could DM me if they reach if the defense rests, stupid me, I can't speak. Or else we're just going to do like we did today, a quick recap in the morning, because this trial is taking way too long. And this little baby needs some love. She needs to be on the sofa watching Netflix with me. It's better than watching this trial. And I will try to look into the Brian Yon case, I believe it's called. The guy who's defending himself yesterday was kind of not so good. But if that's interesting, we could maybe pick that up another day.
Sal's picking that one up, just so you know.
Oh, then I won't do it. Sont las 11:30.
What the hell is happening now?
They finished. It wasn't because he was a border patrol agent and they have a toxic culture. It was okay to kill somebody. So I hope your daughter have a fun time at the pool, because this isn't fun.
Oh no, I brought her home and she's like, well, I'm just going to go straight to the pool. And then she's like, I'm going to have some lunch. So I'll tell you when I'm ready to go.
Yeah, just Netflix and chilling on the sofa with my little girl.
I wish my facial expressions were calmer than they are. They don't speak to what I'm thinking, by the way, just for the record. And I'll instruct you to, in fact, absolutely ignore that as well in your deliberations. But anyway, the next witness will be a very lengthy, more lengthy witness than you've seen. So I don't want to start it right now and then interrupt it. We'll probably interrupt it for a short break in between, but I don't want to start and then break in 30 or 45 minutes. What I want to do, and it's going to be a Zoom witness as well.
Even
So
worse.
it's a little bit different. So
It's that
I hate
guy.
to do it to you right after lunch, but it's not a video deposition, which would have been even worse. This is it's a live witness called by Zoom, and is it she or he, Dr. Penny? He will appear live by Zoom, and the questions will be
No, it
asked by
won't
the
be.
individuals who are
It won't be
parties
the
and the
Google
lawyers who are
thing,
here
because that was in the primary.
It should. We're used to Zoom already. I think all of us are. So
You
okay.
quiero
So
taco.
so we're gonna call for lunch. We're going to stay here working for about 20 minutes or so on other issues. You all going to go to lunch, come back, be here so we can get started at 1 o'clock. So be here before 1.
I'm just saying words.
Remember that you're still under the same instructions that I've given you from the very beginning, and I reiterate to you, if you have questions on them, refer to the instructions that I've given you. The case is far from over, and so it has not been given to you for phase 2 of this decision. Thank you.
She's way too cute. It's terrifying how fast she grows on me. So it's just like Søren, grows all the time.
Oh,
Indigo, don't be so forward. Sal is just going to get ideas. Well, I have a big couch. Again, if Sal sees it, he'll be in your DMs in 2 seconds.
Truth.
When it's Søren, it's not the fun parts.
We're going to get connected to Zoom right now and open it up for you all. You all get connected. When I open it up, you'll be let in. That way we already have our audio working and everything.
I really don't know. He's just a cutie.
So connect me right now. Let me go ahead and do it. And y'all can have a seat, by the way, or you can stand, whatever you. I know you've been sitting for a while. I went to the doctor's. I did go to the doctor's office yesterday. I don't know if y'all need my doctor's excuse, but I was there. It was lengthy. Everything is all right. And
why? People, what is this case?
Okay, yes, we don't need
Iris,
the interpreter then.
Indigo.
Is that correct? All right.
Why?
Someone
We're letting
explain
them
this to
Thank
me.
you for reminding me. And then we're
Although I really want his chair. These judges have nice chairs.
I need a new chair because mine. I can't sit. I can't lock the swing.
And then, did we connect that thing again? So, let's see. Can you check that, Fabian? The speaker here, make sure.
This is all kind
I
of.
hope it was connected. I don't think it is.
It's on.
Oh, but is it connected? The wire.
I
Follow
think
the wire.
2 seconds will be enough for Sal.
Okay. So that means it's charged. So we're good to go. Cindy will be admitted. Whoever wants to get admitted can get on now, so I can admit you all. I don't know if it can be Mr. Lizondo, Mr. Vigil, Mr. Garza, whoever's going to be in. Thank you. And Mr. Boggs or Ms. Shonman, I'm not sure who's going to get in order.
See, Swept,
And
we
it's the
talked a
same,
lot about
meeting
peeing
night.
this morning.
yeah.
And I'm going to be the only host because I don't want anybody else coming in while we're in here. And I don't want staff will be obviously in, but I'll control who comes in, and that way I can lower the volume and we don't have that loud ping when somebody comes in.
What's swearos?
And I know that we can do that here. Cindy has shown me how to do that.
Just like
So
the
I
OnlyFans
think it's
girl
just the share screen.
with the 5 seconds.
And is that it? Just share screen? Yeah, but do I need to do anything on my end to allow the audio of that to come in or something like that?
They are not talking about anything else in this case. Then we can figure out how to use Zoom. Do you know that, Jamie?
I think it is. I was just looking at something. See if I can answer her question.
Yeah, but again, and as I said before, I'll be ending this because they're going to lunch now for probably eternity, and then they're gonna have somebody on Zoom, which will probably go wrong, and then they're gonna ask hours of questions. So tomorrow, same time, same channel, we're gonna pick it up again. If there's anything extraordinary happening, I will go live, but I won't sit the full evening listening to some expert talking about how males compare peens and get tattoos because they want to off their mistresses, which is a job requirement in the Border Patrol. That was stupid. But I know all of you hasn't really been here for the trial. You have been here because you heard that Søren sent me another video, and
Yes.
I'm not sure why he's grifting through my channel. He could just make his own channel. I really don't get it, but Søren, I'll play it and see what people think about it, but let's see what it is. You're a strange guy, son. Why? Why do you want me to show stuff like this? At least show
That's
your face.
hilarious.
We saw your body, but at least show your face. You're just a strange guy. Do you know why? Can you understand why I won't admit to knowing him?
Do it again. I missed it.
Son, you're lucky that Jamie likes you. I'm just gonna pull this off. Tracing. And pull this off again. So, are you ready, Jamie?
Yes.
You know what? If you don't want to do your own channel, you can do all of my editing. I'm just saying.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well, then be better. Make better videos. And I really don't get the. I thought that.
It's just be better then. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't get why I have to promote all of your stuff, and then it's not good enough. You're just like a woman. You can't make your mind up. And I like the bear, Jim. We talked about bears the other day. I'm not sure if you were here for that discussion, but it doesn't mean what you think it means, I think.
Oh my god. You two are adorable.
Well, by popular demand. Because, and again, I like that Søren, he wanted to broaden his audience because, as we know, 50% of people on the earth is some kind of women. They got his channel
Some
yesterday.
kind of woman.
It's 2023, and 50% is some kind of man. So this was for the ladies.
I just can't. You two, your dynamic is hilarious.
Well, it's
We need out and about live videos with Baker and Sorn.
no, because this is the online Baker, and he's not that funny. But Søren, if you ever seen a bowl of pudding standing for way too long, it's kind of like his personality. It's more blobby than bubbly.
I give up.
I don't even know. Oh my god.
Everybody has seen he's threatened me with violence. I'm gonna sue.
He did say he was gonna punch your face off.
Yeah, with all the money this face is making me, you can't do anything. But again, Søren, I'm happy to promote your future channels, and everyone, when those channels go live, you should sub because he's covering all the bases: ladies, males, gentlemen probably, and who knows? Someday he's probably gonna. I wouldn't go
Tomorrow's
that
video
far.
better
I
include
know he's a
furries. I'm
degen,
just
but A furry degen. Please don't send me that video, son. I beg of you. What could even be in your furry channel? It frightens me to think about what you, with your degenerate mindset, could do in a furry channel.
See, and it makes me all like, that would be the most fun, hilarious, cringe-hilarious thing ever.
Yes. I'm in.
Yeah,
What's
so
that?
don't do it. Nobody wants to see another video where you try to get the furry audience into this. They're strange people, but so are you. So that's something. But everyone, I don't really know. Is anyone live now? Is Nicholas live?
I think Nicholas is live.
Sal, maybe.
Maybe.
If I press YouTube, I could see something. Maybe. I'm live. But Nicholas is live. Is the only one I can see. So let me just. Oh, he has vices on. He's together with the big boys. I'm just gonna do a little copy and then a little paste. So if everyone needs somewhere else to be, because now I'm going to make dinner. It's almost 7 o'clock in the real world. And as always, I have to thank my angels. Talking about angels, talking about doing stuff. That's my baker intro, which we use on Stab Your Days, where these lovely ladies, most of the time, are with me too. And this wouldn't be a baker stream without all the derailments. Thank you, chat, for helping me derail. Sorry, Murph, I got heated. And before we go, everyone grift themselves. Let's start with Jamie today.
Hi. I just hang
Ja-
out.
Jamie has a Cash App.
Oh, I do have a Cash App. I forget about that. You can
She has a
always
Lash Fund.
give me just, you can be nice. You can tip me. I don't care. If not, I'm here anyway.
We didn't leave, son. Get with it. We're just having fun.
Hi, I'm Mo from Mo in the Deep End. Mom of 6. I do court trials, crime, current news, and shenanigans. We have Church Lady. We might have other characters coming because my husband is horrified at the amount of wigs I might or might not have bought. I'm just. I also have a Cash App, and we are working to get the cats a new tree because, as you can see, they are all fat. So they have torn this one up. But that's about it. I've got 2 videos coming out today. So I had the one on the California law where they wanted to include race in sentencing, and one on the Sarah Boone postponement. And then tonight I do a Zachariah Anderson stream, but I know Solomon's going to be on someone else. So I'm sure y'all can watch it in the replay.
And I'm just the monkey speaking Spanish and pushing buttons. All of you are subscribed. All of you have liked all the stuff. So now go over. If you go to Nick, say I said hi, because that's something Vikings do. Apparently, yeah. Mo in the
I
Deep
think
End.
I'll
She
hop
has a
on
little
with
one
him,
too.
so I will say that for you.
Yeah, son, we know you are. So, ladies, if you like not a burly man, more like a soft kind of dad body man, you should hit Son up in his DMs. Adios, amigos. Arrivederci. We'll do it tomorrow, and if anything changes and there's gonna be a sentence tonight, I'll try to keep up, or else DM me. I'll try to hit some kind of outro if I have one. This one. Bye.